Thank you all for joining us. I'll start with the introduction of the masters and some of our guests, and we'll move forward to presentations. Welcome to our Master of Science in Computational and Advanced Design program, accredited by the UACEG. The program pushes the boundaries of design and transcends through a multitude of design skills while advancing the students' design and software capabilities immensely. It's organized in 5 leading design chapters and 5 supporting technical and theoretical labs that span over 9 months. And today we're reviewing chapter 2. As I introduce this review, we'll zoom around the work in progress Miro board to display the incredible amount of work that the students have explored. And firstly, I would like to express my gratitude to our students and the educational team for their efforts, our core leads, Eva Hefes and Tungengen, my peers, Svetlana Georgiev and Michael Pryor, and the chapter leads for chapter 2, Kirill Cahill and Oscar Olson. Oscar is also an alumni of the program. Among our new guests today, we'll have some of our returning guest crits from past chapters. We're very, very thankful for everyone's support and time today. We're here very excited to hear your feedback and what you think about the projects and ideas about how the students can progress onto the next chapters. I would like to introduce our guests today. We have with us Eric Oldenburg. Hi, Eric and everyone. Co-founder of Monad Studio. We'll have Nadia Kutireva with us. She's a DesignMorphine alumni, a 3D footwear designer at Nike. And she's also a PhD candidate in our DesignMorphine PhD program. We'll have Aldo Solazzo, who is the founder of Numena, and Daniela Gertovici, director of Arhaja, and Fatma Farag, another alumni from DesignMorphine. She's a faculty at the American University in Cairo. Jason Vinieri being founder of Split Studio and professor at Pratt Institute. Nicholas Turkey, who also is member of DesignMorphine, and he was part of the educational team the previous years. He's a founder of NTAR and a professor of the American University in Dubai. Laura Chiavetti, who is as well an alumni of DesignMorphine, co-founder of CAD Zero Material, and Anouk Wiprek, founder of Anouk Fashion Tech and mentor of the Master of Science program. So with chapter 2, what is interesting to keep in mind is that we are reviewing this chapter today that revolves around the habitats that the body developed during the program's first stage. So during this period, the students answer questions regarding what kind of residence such a body calls for, using the theoretical frame already developed in the first stage. The students had to design and produce a space that would cover the body's housing needs, as well as act as the starting cell of the future city. Some important points to keep in mind as we go through the review. This isn't an architectural master, but a program focused on envisioning the future of humanity. We're reviewing a habitat level design for the students, chapter 1 prosthesis. And we'll be looking at one unit, which will be part then in chapter 3 of a bigger aggregation that's going to be developing in the next chapter. So connectivity and how the cells will aggregate is going to be vital. And please keep in mind that the presentation should be contained within 7 minutes for each team. Eva and Tung will help us keep time. Feel free to take photos and screenshots and write comments also in the chat. And you can share the work of the students in social media. Thank you so much for joining us. Very excited to start. Without further ado, I will hand it over to the next team, to the first team. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go into first team. We have Nandini and Ricardo.
Hi everybody, can you hear me?
Yes.
Is it audible?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Welcome, brave souls, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Nandini, my partner's name is Ricardo, and we are excited to share with you the fascinating story of necromancers and necroarachnites. Let's get started. The necromancers were powerful beings who harvested living souls to fuel their soul magic. Their ambitions for more power led them to annihilate their own planet in a relentless quest of souls. In their pursuit of domination, they created the necroarachnites, terrifying creatures designed to conquer the other planets through their interdimensional travel. However, the necroarachnites' inherent power made them uncontrollable. After eradicating the necromancers, these creatures began traveling through dimensions. One such journey brought them to the Floating Isles, a planet rich in living souls. Here, the necroarachnites could reach their apex form by harvesting the souls of living beings. Amara, a necroarachnite, stood out among her kind. While harvesting the souls of light magic creatures, she began to develop consciousness and question her actions. Despite this, necromancer's instinct kept her focused on her mission. Her journey reflects the internal conflict between her emerging awareness and her ingrained purpose. Amara's soul forge was created by planting the seeds of corruption in the void. Webs infused with necrotic energy formed a skeletal framework, reinforced by crystallized bone spires from her victim's agony. Soul-infused orbs cast an airy glow, amplifying her power. The material embodied the corruption of soul's magic, blending organic decay with the unnatural resilience. The power of Soul Forge is entirely drawn from the soul chamber, its energy flowing through the hidden passage that can only be accessed by Amara. At the core of Amara's being lies the Soul Forge. This intricate living structure is a fortress of torment and power with several layers. The flesh seed, the outermost layer, living, undulating membrane that protects and adapts, constantly shifting it serves as a first defense. This semi-translucent layer pulses with corrupted energy, offering both protection and sinister reminder of Amara's boundless living creation. The hatch. Beneath the flesh seed lies a translucent hatch, a fragile yet sinister membrane. Each egg holds whispers of soul condensed into a molten essence, emitting a silky green glow that casts haunting reflections along the bone framework. The membrane, a dark connective tissue that joins all the elements together. It binds to the egg holders and provides structural integrity. The skeleton, a dark bone-like framework that are worn from the calcified bone of light creatures. Each step resonates with soft crackle, the ground pulsing with the trapped agony of harvested souls, guiding intruders to the inevitable doom. This forms the soul forge, where stolen souls are refined into pure essence. These anatomical components allow necroarachnites like Amara to create a purpose-built structures, each serving a distinct function. Incubation chamber, a pulsating cocoon space with embryonic horror gestate, sustained by the dark energy siphoned from the soul forge, awaiting their nightmarish emergence.
The soul chamber is an ominous vault where harvested souls writhed in torment, their essence preserved as fuel for Amara's dark rituals and structural growth. The resting nest, a silken cocoon haven where Amara retreats to recuperate her body, regenerating amidst the throbbing pools of corrupted energy. The hard forged throne, a bone and glass strong fused with molten veins of energy, serving as Amara's nexus of power and control within the corpuscle. The development pools are dark viscous pools imbued with necrotic energy where Amara's minions absorbs enhancements mutating into more formidable forms. The healing pot is a fleshy silk-wrapped pot that cocoons Amara in a bath of necrotic essence, accelerating healing and restoring her corrupted vitality. The feeding pot is a sinister chamber lined with sticky webs and bone hooks, designed to ensnare prey and extract their essence for Amara's consumption. The observation bay, a high vantage point of twisted bone and glass where Amara's gaze penetrates the void, surveying potential threats and targets. Inside the feeding pot, a chaotic web of bone-like pillars and snaring silk traps defines the feeding pot. Here, Amara practices the art of capture and domination. Cocoon prey hangs suspended, their essence slowly drained. The space feels oppressive, designed for ambush and containment, echoing the relentless nature of its mistress. Inside the healing pot, tucked within a dim recess, the healing pots pull softly. These fleshy cocoons envelop Amara when she needs restoration. The webs here secrete a regenerative green liquid, repairing wounds and restoring vitality. Each pot cradles her like a protective womb, ensuring she returns to battle with renewed strength. Inside the incubation chamber is a breeding ground for embryonic horrors powered by the soul force energy. At its heart, a pulsating green core feeds tendrils that channel life essence into growing sacs. The walls, etched with bioorganic patterns, drip necrotic fluids that nourish the entities within. Cocoon horrors glow faintly in the translucent membranes as they slowly mature. The juvenile necrochamber. It's an entirely grown, pulsating cocoon, where Amara's pet undergoes its dark metamorphosis, absorbing ambient life energy to enhance its strength. The Reaping Nexus. It's a sacred, vine-wrapped altar where the souls of the fallen are drawn in, reshaped, and bound to the void, fueling dark powers and reinforcing the cycle of death. The apex pot is an ancient, bioluminescent cocoon formed from the essence of a falling star, providing restoration to Amara by nurturing her with a delicate balance of light and shadow. The minor healing pot is a small, smooth chamber made from interconnected webbing, infused with nourishing essence, where Amara's pet is rejuvenated by the primal forces of life and death. The Soul Force evolves in three forms: to ensure power and control, horizontally bisected nexus, lateral expansion connects two corpuscles for large-scale operations, trisected nexus, spiral growth maximizes energy efficiency and defensive adaptability, and vertically nexus, vertical veins channel energy to Amara's cocoon-like resting nest. Thank you.
Thank you, team. Very interesting project. Thank you for sharing today. I think it's one of the very interesting projects, the way that you're approaching it systematically from really like the beginning. You're really paying attention to detail and also understanding really following the storyline that you're creating and following then these leads in order to create like each part of the design. And I think that that's why it's being very successful in the way that it's being developed. I love how you dissect each part and explain, like the logic behind it, how things work, how they connect, and also thinking ahead, right, about like the spider growth and how this is actually going to be interconnected and how this is going to grow into a city and, like it's going to allow for the bigger scale of the program in chapter 3. What are some of the interesting things that like you might be thinking ahead since like chapter 2 is the first chapter that we're thinking about the spatial qualities? There's something that you have in mind or you're excited to explore in the next chapter?
Ricardo,
Oh, we
you're
can
muted.
hear. Yeah, we can hear you.
Now, can you hear me?
Yes.
Some interesting thing that I was doing when developing the interconnections between corpuscles, where that, for example, we wanted to expand the corpuscle like purpose with purpose. For example, we have like these parts that are like X. Um, and we have these parts that are like the incubation chamber, and we wanted like the growth begin, for example, in the incubation chamber as a web, and for example, many incubation chambers behind the main one. We were like exploring that, but guys told us that that's on amalgamations. Yeah, but that's something that we are like excited to explore because we want to know how to um, expand this project or this part of the project in a larger scale.
Yeah, the next chapter, right? Like in the connectivity between like the different parts that you're creating. Well, I think that you're going to have some very interesting options and versions of it because of the complexity, like of the corpuscle that you have created. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Paulina.
Mind if I chime in? Yeah. Hey, everyone. First of all, yeah, thanks for having me. A pleasure. I love seeing this work. And it's great work that was just presented. So congratulations. Yeah, I just wanted to say maybe a couple brief things around skin. I thought that one of the most powerful images you showed was that fully immersive incubation chamber interior. And I thought it was very powerful, as a whole. But there's something I really appreciated about how, yeah, it's almost like the kind of the texturing and the patterning of the surface of the environment was echoing with that kind of aggregated detail of like these sort of like egg sacs, and I just thought that like that's a really smart move in terms of thinking like a property of organisms or objects or figures is resonating with a property of like the skin of their environment or something like that. And so there was something about it's like you got the sense that um the these organisms inside are almost kind of co-evolving with the surfaces, of their environment. So I thought that was really, really great. And this kind of matter of like, two dimensions and bas relief, versus like, three-dimensional wholeness. But also I think, in other places, especially, when you see, some of the pods, forgive me for some of my, not quite getting all the terms yet, but the pods that are that are arrayed along these veins, sometimes how you're treating like almost like the dryness or the wetness, or the slickness, versus the dryness has also made me think a little bit about like kind of, generations and aging, and maybe bringing a little bit of, subtle time-based thinking into the project, where skins of different, kind of components in these aggregations, might relate to different, different degrees of age or, organism versus environment. But just as a kind of a warm-up comment, I thought that was really smart, and really subtle, and yeah, great work.
Thank you very much, Jason. Appreciate
you.
your comments.
Hello guys, how's it going? I'm just gonna jump in here and give some feedback. I thought overall, from where we left off a couple weeks ago, it's a good improvement. It's nice to see all the texture work you guys have done, and sort of all the interiors. I was wondering, because when we were discussing it, we had a slightly different, the object itself was a bit darker, and sort of the pods were a bit more lit up. Just from your side, like what made you change your sort of approach to it, or add this more brown bronzy element to the edges, right? What's kind of the rationale, the progress that you made in between? Could you expand a bit on that?
Initially, we started with these textures to be like a green slime flowing inside the corpuscle, but then it was too much of a green, and it's actually attaching to the cliffs inside it. So I thought of like, why not bring in the metals, like to bring in the brown texture. We're having the brown texture as a skin, so why not bringing the brown metals, mixing it up and bringing the whole concept? That's it. We thought of like having 3 colors, like the skin, black, and the green. So I bought on that thing.
Okay, interesting. I think like from this and from the sort of the main renders, I think my only comments would be that I feel like there's a bit of work to do in terms of the glass visualization, or like on the pods, on like the nodules themselves, right? Like in some of the reference images, we have these pods that are very lit up from the inside and kind of bright. And I think that maybe for the future chapters, there's a bit of work to do in terms of how that glass comes up. In this image that you have right now, sort of the center one with more of the goldy look, right? Like the glass itself feels too much like a thin skin. It'd be nice to have some more sort of, I don't know, internal reflections or some shine through it. But otherwise, I think it's a really good sort of progress you guys have made. And I think you'll only get better as the master goes on. But it's just a tiny bit of rendering, like sort of tricks at the end, I think, that will elevate it a bit more for the next chapters. Yeah, good work, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Oscar. Yeah, there were a lot of things that were left left behind due to the time, but definitely we are like trying to improve every part and every element in our project. But there were elements inside that we couldn't add, but definitely will be improving.
Okay, nice. Glad to hear it. I'm looking forward to seeing the next chapters and what you guys cook up. Thanks,
guys. If I may jump into, and hi Jason, I think we may know each other from Pratt a long time ago or something.
Yeah, good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thank you for allowing me to see this wonderful work and to participate in the conversation. Haven't seen all this work in a long while, I guess, but I'm trying to not think architecturally because that's not the thing here, but there are some interesting things from the point of view of architecture that we may comment on these. I think that, first of all, it's absolutely wonderful, beautiful work. But even the name itself, necromancer, right? It's I think a part of it might be, or I like it to be, the part embedded in there is there's some sort of romancer or romance, right? And in the word itself implies resistance too. And I think I'm always looking for resistances within projects. So what are the constraints or the resistances that you impose upon yourselves or on the system so that it can acquire certain responsivity, sort of intelligent responsiveness to those resistances, and what kind of frictions do we get so the system is not, say, only just willful, but it's also having to react or to kind of like suffer from some of these conditions imposed. But in that sense, I would say, all of these paths are very safely away from each other, especially in this, for some reason, we ended up in this image, in this soul forge. All these paths are only sort of connected by some sort of one main stem, and they just simply align next to each other. That's, too safe in their growth and their potential inner challenges of certain parts that tend to exceed the capacity of the pod to contain them. And I like one other image, I forget where it was, where this kind of like bonish membrane that's coming from within seemed to kind of escape the pod. It was like, oh, really, that's all problematic and bad, but that's actually so awesome because something like that could begin to, those growth that are of the container of life or some sort of thing, life, as they begin to become in excess of their capacity to be contained, they may begin to define other spaces that are comprehended in the relative distance between these pods and other elements that partake, as Jason was pointing out. I was also fascinated by the other textures and the other environmental living things or semi-dying things that can begin to connect to these, or can begin to be entering friction also with this excess material. Is that making any sense? Because
Yeah.
I think that also when we do these sort of aggregations, and they're like a chain link linear aggregations, that's typically the kind of the lowest common denominator of capacities that we could actually acquire. So I'm really intrigued about potential developments of now that this is becoming more of an environment and not just an individual container or something. That how is that environment develop a feedback between the internal growths, the external environment, and the logistics of those clashes, as things grow. But wonderful, beautiful work.
Thank you, Eric. Yeah, one element that were left behind was that, for example, we did a bit of research about, for example, spiders, and one element that they used is vibrations, for example, as mean of communication. So, for example, that we wanted to, in the beginning of the chapter, to find a way of how to transmit that. And for example, architecturally, I don't know how to explain it, but we wanted like to um, in some way communicate that element. But yeah, we will definitely like try to improve the project, and try to be less um, less like safe, for example. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ricardo. Thank you, everyone, for the comments. Yeah, congratulations, guys, on the projects, on the presentation. I know we have a lot of ups and downs, but I think you guys have really outdone yourself this chapter. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the next one. Great job. And now we are moving on to the next team.
Okay, so let's move on to Group A, starting with A3, Eric and Nastia. Hi. Hello.
Just a second. Okay, I'm ready.
Yeah. Cool.
Oh,
Yeah. So
just a question. Can you see part of the teams? Because I see
no.
other
No.
right button. Oh, great. Okay,
No, we don't.
that's
Yeah.
only for me.
Yeah. So hi everyone. As said, we are Team A3. My name is Eirik.
And I'm Nastya. We are both architects, and today we are excited to present our work, Valtaris, Chapter 2, Corpuscle.
In a final broadcast to the universe, the Voltaires sent a digital time capsule out amongst the stars, documenting their world, life, and achievements. The Voltaires' home planet, Dieterra, is described as a world divided by a glowing ring of plasma, a central element of their civilization. The plasma was not just an energy source, it was vital to their very existence.
The plasma ring erupting from the planet's core not only gave life to the Valtaris, but also endowed them with the consciousness. The digital capsule preserves schematics of the Valtaris exaframes, durable mechanical shells powered by plasma energy, featuring with a biological vessel at their core and a symbiotic pad as an integrated extension.
But the capsule also carries a dire warning. An alien object crashed on their world, releasing a black plague that consumed half their planet, held back only by the plasma ring's immense energy.
Driven by curiosity, the Valtaris breached the ring to study the plague, unleashing disaster as it spread across the planet, engulfing the remaining hemisphere and dimming the once brilliant ring. Ultimately, their civilization was consumed, leaving only darkness.
Their final plea is clear. Remember us, but leave Dieterra's mysteries undisturbed. The records of the Voltaris habitat, known as the Corpuscle, deserves special attention. At the heart of their architecture is a commitment to modularity.
The Corpuscle serves as an operational base for research, repair, and survival of the Valtaris. It is composed of distinct modules connected by transition pathways. Its exterior is covered in white panels and black mechanical elements.
The habitat has the following composition. The hub is the central part of the corpuscle. On its right is the energy storage bank designed for housing the plasma reserves. Module 1 is the launch bay for exploration drones. Module 2 is the bioorganic laboratory for cultivating organic body parts. Module 3 is the waste annihilation plant for sorting and processing waste. And Module 4 is the repair facility, a workshop for mechanical body parts.
At the core of the habitat lies its central structure, connecting all their elements. It is encased in a main environmental envelope which shields the interior from the harsh external climate. From its outer shell, durable multifunctional armatures extend, serving multiple purposes.
They add structural rigidity to the corpuscle, anchor it to the rocky terrain, channel plasma energy, and create flexibility in multi-directional docking configurations. The white panels of the modules are protective layers called impact protection shielding.
It serves as a durable defense against Dieterra's harsh environment, absorbing impacts from turbulent magnetic storms, as well as regulating temperature and emitting bioluminescent signals for navigation. Black metal paneling engineered for maximum durability. They symbolize the core and energy essence, while the white panels represent peripheral functions and task-specific operations.
The corpuscle's systems are powered by plasma energy, harvested from the planet and stored in the energy storage bank. A network of pipelines channel plasma throughout the modules. each module has independent Flaxman access via concentrators, forming an efficient energy grid.
The interiors of the corpuscle are spacious and seamlessly flow into one another. Each space is designed with a specific goal in mind. One of the key modules is the bioorganic laboratory, where organic hosts are cultivated for the immortal Voltaris, who rely on these beings for physical interaction. The laboratory reflects the Voltaris' mastery of bioengineering. The space is structured across 4 levels, each housing symbiote growing tanks filled with viscous, nutrient-rich organic orange liquid. The medium facilitates the growth of fully functional organisms from biological cells, preparing them for integration with the Voltaris.
The modular launch bay is another important module. It serves as a dynamic hub within the corpuscle, designed as a port for small drones and exploration units that the Voltaris send out for scouting missions and resource collection.
The launchway is covered with a highly organized space designed for the deployment and reception of drones. Sleek and metallic, its interior is lined with the vertical docking stations embedded into the walls, where drones are securely stored when inactive.
The hub is the central space of the habitat where all the modules connect. It's also the gathering space for the Voltaris. Within the hub, charging and upload pods allow individual Voltaris to recharge their energy reserves. The pods connect the exoframe's containment unit to the corpuscle's energy grid, ensuring efficient energy transfer. This connection is also linked to the common containment unit, a shared space where multiple Voltaris can merge their energy patterns. This collective consciousness enhances problem-solving, collaboration, and unity among the Voltaris.
The corpuscle, with its modular design and adaptable armatures, can interconnect in various configurations. In axial connection, the corpuscles align symmetrically around a central axis, forming a balanced and compact structure. In lateral connection, modules connect side by side, creating an extended vertical arrangement.
Hybrid connection is a combination of axial and lateral connections, forming intricate multidirectional networks. In the cascade connections, the corpuscles link in sequential layers, forming elongated linear formations. These configurations allow the corpuscle to evolve into vast agglomerations, forming clusters on cliffs, within ravines, or other extreme terrains.
The corpuscle can rearrange or increase in its modules to meet Voltaris' needs. These communities foster collaboration and makes the centralized distribution of energy more efficient.
The habitats can also function as isolated units, such as when there's a need for a remote research outpost or they require access to a remote resource. Too bad that all these wonders are now lost. Thank you.
Thank you.
Beautiful work, team. Enjoyed very much your presentation. Very well thought of each aspect of it, and you've put so much really like amazing effort into it. It's kid bashing heaven. What you've created here, so many parts and bolts and pieces, and I think that it's going to be give you a lot of opportunities for the next chapter. Actually, I loved to see like the aggregations and how you're thinking about them in different logics and ways. The sections were also very interesting to see. If you could even zoom in even further for us to be able to see the interiors, that's going to be really, really amazing. Yeah, because like I know like how much effort all these designs. I wanted to ask you, what did you enjoy the most in this chapter, and how do you feel that it was different from the previous one for you, for your team?
As for me, for example, it was completely different in terms of software because, for example, the prosthesis and the pad is PET. It was done in completely different software, like sculpting software ZBrush. And in this chapter, we used Houdini mostly to create the Corpuscle. And it's just your brain has to work in completely different mode, in algorithmic and node mode, I would say. Yeah, so that's the biggest difference, I think, for me. Eddie?
Yeah, no, it was like an uphill, steep learning curve of learning new softwares and getting a hold of it, and like giving up control a bit, because you're not manually modeling everything and like placing every bolt. You're doing a more generalized script-based idea of how it fits together. It's a very fun way to work, and I look forward to do more of it going ahead.
The program will definitely challenge you in this aspect, but I feel that now that you understand like both worlds, like I think like, moving forward to the next ones, it's going to, you know, like most of the things, like of the logics of how things really like work is there. So you're going to be able to enjoy it even more and create some really amazing things in the next chapters to come. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey guys, I hope I can jump in here. I am like absolutely amazed with all the progress that has happened since I last worked with you guys. I know we kind of like left off at this point where there was some confliction about whether you should integrate some more like tubular structures in the interior, or like the black areas, I guess. And like you're thinking about having some areas with soft edges versus hard edges and all those conversations. And I just wanted to say I'm really happy with where you guys landed. I do really appreciate the hard modeling throughout, but I think you've done a really great job of differentiating between like what is surface and what is detail. Like the language that you guys use in the white areas that are your like inhabited main programming areas does feel very different from the black, sort of more dense and more articulated parts, which I think is great. And then also, I think this allows you guys to have these wonderful sections where these black areas are still inhabitable. They still have sectional qualities, which I think in our previous discussions, it was like a little bit unsure how that was going to work. So yeah, I really love that. I love your section diagrams also, just as an architect, and like your drawing quality is very nice. And then one other new thing I wanted to comment on that I hadn't seen is just this use of orange to kind of highlight some of the more living areas versus the more mechanical areas, which stick to a monochrome color palette. I just think it's really great, and I'm super happy with how you guys have progressed. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Let me jump into this comment, even though this is not my main field of work at the moment. Let me give you an external perspective. First of all, thanks for having me over here. What it fascinates me every time I see the presentations of DesignMorphine Master is this capacity to adapt at the end these two systems, these two dialectic and contrasting realm between the organic natural form, the biological systems that you are also conceiving, these planets, these forms of life. And on the opposite side, these mechanical components that are extremely rational, logical. They are following also a very systematic approach of engineering every single component and adapting then, even in a proper architectural approach, what is a functional space, what are the connectivity among the different elements, and how they adapt to a natural landscape around it. So it's it's once again the proof of a very complete approach that at the end allow you to be extremely comfortable in both realms and integrate, as we were saying before, also this logic of time, no, of decay, of adaptability at the end, that is also that also refer to the adaptability and the shift through of all the material, all the surfaces, all the connections at the end to a time or to other forms that are somehow also entering into the surface of all these different. This is a beautiful image of these different picture. That you are creating, a reality that you are somehow crafting. So really, congratulations. In terms of work, it's impressive that you are already here. Normally, I see the presentations at the end of the year. It's the first time that I jump in at this moment in December. And it's incredible to see how far already you are in the mastering really this approach and having such a mature capability in that sense. A little note, but just because I'm an old boy, will be very interesting to. I lost probably the first part where you were introducing the instruments and the tools that you were using to generate all of it. But I'm a process guy, so I see here a little bit the logic that you are doing, this modeling and crafting logic. But it's also very it's also very inspiring to see at the end from all these approaches, algorithms, you are establishing the nature of your design approach. So the tools that you are using and how they combine one with the other.
Thank you.
Thank you a lot.
Thanks, guys. I'm just gonna jump in here. I think overall you did a really good job. I like how it all tied together. I just wanted to ask two small questions. So Anastasia, I was wondering, we talked a lot during the week when I was working with you guys about the cables and the wires, right? What was the
Yes.
sort of decision to, like, from the final one? It seems like you removed most of them, at least from the exterior, if I can't see it. But yeah, what was the sort of decision process there? Like, why you decide to go a different route?
So mini overview for those who didn't know. So here, everything that is black was supposed to be covered in cables. And I was working on it a lot in Houdini, trying to generate a script, create a script that will generate cables, because I needed them to wrap the whole structure, not just lay on them. So yeah, I eventually managed to do that, but unfortunately I had to avoid it just because when I was working on the exterior renders, for example, some of the parts, for example, here you can see connectivity diagrams, all of them are connected, and those cables that would be covered, the top part of the corpuscle, in this case, they will happen to occur somewhere on the side right or probably bottom. So
Yeah.
that's the first reason. So it wouldn't look natural. So I had to avoid it. And second reason, when I started, this like a small step into next chapter amalgamation, but I decided to explore it a little bit here. So some of the parts, they are disconnected. And the point of cables going through one module to another module, I will have to break them, because the whole module will be placed in completely different place. So there is a solution just to for any connectivity to create a new script that will generate cables, but it's like makes the whole pipeline, the whole workflow much complicated, and I think not for this program.
And we wound up adding some, so you were missing some like surface detail. That's why we brought up like I wanted to do cables, and we wound up adding like a superstructure on top of the corpuscle that sort of filled the same need without making the same problems.
Yeah, and probably like geometrically more efficient rather than having like these, because from the look of it, those were like rigid structures that having to be more organic or more like flowy ones. I fully understand that the sort of the approach of getting to a point where you realize that like, oh my God, this is going to be so difficult or so complicated to manage all these things. So yeah, but yeah, interesting. Thank you so much for the expansion on that. And then my second point was for the for both of the interiors. I feel like we worked on some of the images where we had like a bit of a wider view, and like I feel like it would have been nice to be able to see like I think this shot is very nice, and I think you did a really good job with the textural properties and the lighting. I would have loved to see a shot where I got slightly more, like when we were working on this, you have sort of the floor and the room that this thing is sitting in. Being able to see that would have been nice. I think would have given like a slightly better feel for the interior space as a character, like as as if you were the prosthesis walking around in it. It's I think this one's fine, but I think the other one that Eric you were working on also shifted to like a more dead on angle instead of this sort of placed back a little bit. Yeah, I thought maybe like giving slightly more space could have worked as well, but I'd love to hear sort of your take on why you ended up in with this framing instead.
Yeah, it was a process of iterations. Sort of, the wider shot felt like sort of a screenshot from a video game thing, and then those are cool, but I wanted to like focus in on the objects that were there, because there's a lot of just wanting to show off the work and adding it and showing, just putting focus on some of the elements in the picture and sort of doing less so that the things you do get more attention in the frame.
I think that's a valid take on things. I think like personally for me, I would have loved to be able to see maybe like then a less detailed, outer shot, and then you quickly pan into the close up, so that I as like the viewer get to see the we're walking into this, and then you're showing me the close up that you want to show me. I think it would give me slightly better feel for the space in itself, But yeah, anyway, very good work, guys. It's cool to see the progress that you made.
Thank you.
If I can jump in. Oh.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Like I really enjoy your project, guys. Full of detail, and I can see how you embrace totally the software and you make it yours. What I enjoy most, and let me know if it was in purpose or not, it's when I see your processes, I thought, oh, well, okay, the corpuscle will be roundy, something roundy, and not shocked me, but I was surprised that the corpuscle was totally different in terms of forms, and I really like it because you change the form, and so you can highlight the prosthesis inside and outside of your design. So I want to know is something that you make in purpose or not. And because anyway, I see that you take some detail of your process and put in place and scale up on the corpuscle. But I wanted to know if this form choice was based in purpose.
Yes, we have this on the prosthesis. We have this sort of we find this contrast really interesting, like the black and white and the smooth shapes, and also like the organic little pet thing that is a total different creature on its own. So keeping that sort of contrast philosophy going from the prosthesis to the corpuscle is also that's why they're similar but not the same. So they're highlight each other better.
I can answer the question about the rounded form. So basically, the consciousness, the brain of the voltaris of this prosthesis is plasma. It's like energy, ephemeral form of energy in form of plasma. So it it took many like years, millennia probably, to develop the whole body. Because inside, as I said, plasma and the physical body, this organic red part. So the rounded form is based on this is an analogy with the head, of course, but energy, this plasma energy has magnetic field, and probably during evolution, it just bent this panel to this rounded shape. But for example, and it also, it only, if we talk about where the plasma is, for example, on our corpuscle, we have only these rounded things, which we try to somehow connect with the rounded head prosthesis.
It's evident.
Plasma only here, and this place is also the only rounded thing. But also we try to use like smooth edges on these white panels to kind of unite prosthesis with our corpuscle. But anyway,
really
this habitat is more like should give us the sense of structure, like nothing something blobby, you know, like solid, durable. That's why it has more angular shape.
I understand.
I
Thanks. Yeah. Well, I was just curious about your logics behind. Beautiful. I really enjoyed. I didn't many picture actually. Thanks. Congratulations.
Thank you for the question.
May I jump in? I think that I would really like the premise of the whole narrative at first, the beginning, as it was explained, it was very clear. And I'm also maybe misinterpreting the narrative, or maybe creatively misinterpreting, but I think that it would be interesting if there was some sort of interrelation between this kind of architecture that is there to record and to kind of analyze and reprocess and potentially generate life, right? And I like very much this sort of strange machine as it appeared at the end that doesn't want to, that escapes any containment, right? Where all the parts seem to hover in suspension because of the stark contrast between the black and the white and all that. And I wonder if there could be some sort of capacity of the system to produce life that is inorganic, to continue reproducing itself in an adaptable manner. Because at the end, when you show the last image, right, the very last image, when it really landed, right, and it seems to be the promise of where do you see this going. On the one hand, that's very satisfying as an image, and also very disappointing, because all of a sudden it finally became architecture as we know it. Maybe we're in front of Frank Lloyd Wright's Cascade House or something like that. You know, it's like, oh no, because the system is way more interesting to me when it seems to try to find a setting, right? And in doing so, create also new kind of terraforming in the air, right? So, but I also don't like it if it's not resolved, how it really enters in contact with this kind of surviving inorganic matter that is now the planet, the geography, let's say. So I wonder if there is, in the way in which in nature, you know, when certain limbs are undefined, some creatures that have limbs that are not really entirely necessary for their living needs, but over time, because of conditions and environment change, those limbs really develop in full. So a fish many years later has an extra, part to escape its predator or something like that. In that capacity, maybe as these modular elements begin to find possible positions in relation to that geography, that they themselves become either geography or become activated in a way that some of its limbs acquire or subscribe to new capacities and potentially meanings in that we do not need a pet or a Voltaris that is fleshy and sort of semi-humanoid, but there's a transfer in what is living and not living stemming from the machinic capacity of what you have created. Is that making any sense? I'm trying to see if it makes sense to me, but I'm looking for how your system can challenge the narrative too, and not just have a narrative as some backdrop that sort of explains how you then create something beautiful and that's it, So the narrative can continue to evolve with the ways in which you discover these, engages with some sort of geography, becomes partially living, or, we don't know that. What is that? What does that mean in this world that life has, been exhausted? But all in all, it's wonderful to see. Thank you.
Yeah, there's some fun aspects to explore there where the creatures themselves are the same resource that they use to power everything. They are just a different configuration of energy, and then they also use the same energy to power where they, like, all the machines and their bodies and all of these things. And there's a lot of fun questions to explore in that relationship between the conscious self and their giving themselves basically to power and interact with their environments.
Is there time for a quick?
On that. Oh, wait.
No, go.
Just say
Go. Yeah.
I think it's really interesting that with discrete architecture, and since you guys you just took this approach from early on, like in chapter 2, I think it would be very interesting to explore like the idea of time, like Aldo was saying, and what Eric was just saying, I think about like different environments, and kind of incorporate these different environments as part of your aggregations or your amalgamations later on, because you kind of have the logic, but you don't want it to be like repetitive, because you've got this interesting, you've got like almost the beginnings of a manual, right? With all the parts, the different parts, the different aspects. So it's going to be a bit hard not to like, initially, of course, not to like kind of repeat it on a larger scale. And you want that variety. So you could also play a lot with scale and like proportions. And with the environments, you can also get like those natural organic elements. And then you could add the cables and all of that stuff as elements kind of add to your kit of parts. And I think it's going to be quite interesting. Like, it's really cool that you started this, like you kind of reversed chapter 3 and 2, which is cool. But it's like, it's a good exercise. And also love the sections, and made me happy as an architect as well to see those. Really cool job.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Hey, yeah, thank you guys. Such nice comments and feedbacks for the project. I would just like congratulate you for the project and the hard work and the consistency that you guys have been putting in. And you're just becoming the hard surface masters. From ZBrush to Houdini, you've got this talent over. So yeah, definitely good luck. And I'm really excited for the next chapter. The interiors, the diagrams here are just insane. Even with the insane details, you have that balanced, with the details, it's not overwhelming, which is really nice. And I mean, just love the overall presentation and the storytelling. Great stuff. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your help.
Yeah.
Yes. Thanks.
Of course. Thank you. So we'll have to move to the next team now. Let's go on to A1 with Lisa.
Hey. Okay. Is that sharing?
Yep.
Okay. Yep. All right, awesome. Hi, thank you so much for giving me the time today. I'm Lisa. You'll probably notice if you were across the work earlier from the concept lab, I haven't taken any of the AI concepts over to my actual design. Because because I don't really know where it's stolen the images from. And yeah, I think there's a nice thing that happens when you connect a source to create your own concepts. But thanks for your time. This is the story of E1027 told from Dr. Vedding's robotic assistant's perspective. Welcome to Tank E1027, an innovation in synthetic biology and material ecology. Inside Tank 027, life has become a self-sustaining ecosystem, a closed-loop sustainable system guided by a mysterious central force, the SCOBY. Oh, sorry, don't know what's going on here. The SCOBY's movements are not random. The water ripples it creates form intricate, intelligent patterns, vibrations that flow outward in complex, ever-changing rhythms. These ripples shape the very fabric of the tank's ecosystem. As the water flows through the tank, it carves pathways in the rocks and forms divots and crevices that become cradles for new life. A perfect environment for life to flourish, and the tank's composition has enabled the creation of many species. Notably, our most documented, E1, a creature crafted to explore, adapt, and survive in the world it's been given. Each aspect of E1 forms a service, a purpose, from its cranium to its tail exoskeleton, to its internal organs. The main structures of the tank that E1 calls home bear with me, guys, it's 3 a.m. here. Are man-made, though many of the key organic elements within the tank, including the SCOBY and the skin, have grown on their own accord as we feed data into the tank for the organic systems to gain information and make choices. This is Tank E1027, our co-design with nature. Within these glass walls, we've provided nature with the foundation, information, and empowerment to create freely. Within the tank, the energy harvester is vital to the tank's self-sufficiency. This harvester captures and converts synthetic light into energy, powering the tank systems. At the heart of the tank lies the SCOBY, a pulsating, intelligent biomass encased in a protective mesh. The SCOBY acts as the tank's central force, orchestrating the ecosystem. It has grown a protective mesh to shield its vulnerable membrane from physical damage and environmental stresses. Additionally, the mesh plays a critical role in nutrient processing. It selectively traps organic particulates and microorganisms, channeling them towards the SCOBY's absorption zones for processing into resources. In the incubation pod space, new life begins. This area is shielded by a protective spine, safeguarding delicate embryos and juveniles. It is a controlled environment where organisms can develop without external threats, supported by the precise temperature and nutrient balance. Within the tank, the coral reef pods are a mastery of biomimicry. These intricate structures are shaped by water flow, much like ancient rock formations. They provide habitats for smaller organisms while playing a critical role in nutrient cycling and water filtration. The cooling skin regulates the tank's temperature, ensuring an optimal environment for its inhabitants. This skin has grown in the main vessel of the tank, while more complex skins have grown in coral reef pods to keep the smaller space as cool as possible. It uses a heat exchange system powered by the tank's solar harvester, maintaining consistent conditions even in fluctuating external climate. As well as the main systems in the tank you've seen so far, there are smaller gadgets, or as we call them, furnishings, that are equally as important to equilibrium. These include light-sensitive creature travel tubes. These pathways guide the tank's light and heat-sensitive inhabitants. Complementing the coral reef pods is the bioremediation structure. This porous framework filters pollutants and balances the water's chemical composition. Protective spines act to shield the eggs in the incubation space and ward away predators. These spines are one of the tank's elements that were human-made out of steel. They also act as anchors for the entire tank. The tank features removable testing capsules, another man-made element. These allow us to extract water samples or small organisms for analysis without disrupting the tank's delicate balance. The process is entirely mechanical, minimizing human interference and preserving the integrity of the ecosystem. Within Tank E1027, we have empowered nature to reach her full potential, providing her with enough information to be able to use our man-machine made structure to create a symbiotic world of its own. Its cooling skin, solar harvester, central unit and SCOBY, coral reef pods and protective spines work seamlessly to create a thriving, self-sustaining ecosystem. And the tank is not alone. It is part of an integrated system of tanks designed to enhance biodiversity. These tanks exchange resources such as nutrients and microorganisms through carefully regulated biocirculatory systems, facilitating controlled interspecies interaction and organismal migration. Overall, Tank E1027 leverages renewable energy and biomimetic principles to minimize resource inputs and environmental impact, offering a scalable model for sustainable habitat engineering and the preservation of biodiversity in environments co-fabricated between man, machine, and nature. Thank you for exploring this system with me. That's it.
Thank you, Lisa. I love the design sensitivity you're showing into the work that you're creating. It's a very unique design language that you're developing. Also, like you're very brave into like what avenues you're going to pursue. Like it's a very different, again, like approach as you mentioned, even like from a lot of the work that you've done, like with Midjourney in the concept lab, and I'm really enjoying, you know, like this. A really innovative way of thinking, and that you're not afraid to really like to explore some really different, you know, like design, and really challenge yourself in this way. What was one thing that like you feel that like you've learned mostly in this chapter that maybe like surprised you, or like was, you know, something that you didn't expect that you were going to be learning in this phase?
I think I really just learned patience. Like I'm usually very impatient. I don't think about what like one thing would entail in so much depth. And like, you know, I'm not an architect, so like breaking down something in terms of like all its like I've always wanted to be. Obviously, I didn't get into architecture because my grade wasn't good enough in high school. So it was so much fun to be able to like dissect a habitat like this and lay it out in such a way, yeah.
That's interesting to hear. Yeah, from a different, again, like a perspective, right? But definitely patience is something that you can use in any line of work, you know, like and going more like understanding again, like and going more and more in depth and detail, especially when we're talking about any kind of, you know, design field. So I'm happy to hear that. Thank you.
Nice. Thanks, Paulina.
Yeah, and I would just say that you know, I'm really interested in your aesthetic and your you know, this, you know, on the one hand kind of like generous aesthetic range, but also tight, you know, tight aesthetic range of like, you know, grays and, you know, blue grays and you know, like mist and fog and, you know, kind of translucency and these things in it, you know, as a kind of you know, praise for the project. It reminds me a lot of the film Arrival. That same, right? Yeah, okay, yeah, know it, right?
Love that
Right,
film, yeah.
there you go. All right, okay, good. I'm so happy.
Yep.
Yeah, that kind of that sort of range. And and I know that there are also lots of people in the review here who are real masters of I think this other thing that you have happening where you're able to transition between something that's more of a kind of voluptuous, fleshy, organ-like aspect of the design to something that's more kind of like iterative, like skeletal or exoskeletal, kind of mesh-like aspects of the project as well. So, for me, there's a lot to love. Just one comment I kind of thought, and maybe it's also a little bit thinking about Arrivals is how much of that film happens to be about communication, right? And how these other bodies are communicating, and some of that is atmosphere, right? They're emitting language, right, as almost kind of like smoke, right, that's constantly forming. And so and then there's also things that are sort of changing in their skin, or thinking about these like famous octopi whose skin could completely change, like kind of in a split second, not just for camouflage but for communication. And I was just thinking about that. There's an earlier rendering that you showed where I think the creature's skin, which was pretty in your kind of like white to gray range, was starting to be ridged with some kind of pink, pinkish orangish pigmentation too. And that was a quick image. It went by very, very quickly. But I thought that there's a very, very big idea contained in that. Where maybe if you explore that more, there's something about like how the how this how your creature is taking on almost the kind of lab like qualities of like glass and kind of metals and kind of like neutral environments. But then maybe there's something going on in its inner life, or or in its kind of attempt to communicate, where it's like the emission of more atmosphere, or or maybe you play up even more how you had kind of so begin to color the skin. Yeah, there's this where it's happening, and then I think there was an earlier image too where it looked like there was some kind of like pink and orange articulation on some of the ridging and wrinkling of the skin. And so yeah, I think you have some really, really big ideas here, and maybe just more about pigmentation or emission could also like enrich the narrative about how kind of alien bodies communicate with each other. Just as a thought. But thank you. Yeah, fantastic work.
Yeah, definitely. That's such a good idea, especially like something like in Arrival, that liquid thing that they emit, that would be so sweet, like underwater. It would be really, that's a really good idea. Thank you.
Yeah, it's like in the medium. Yeah.
This is happening underwater.
Yeah.
Which is yeah, everything is happening over there. Okay.
During
your presentation.
Yeah, not the tank. The tank itself is in a lab, but then the tank is filled with water.
Okay, but the alien is moving underwater, or is he? Yeah. During your presentation, there is a word that you mentioned a couple of times, no? That is very delicate. You've been repeating a couple of times this word. It's extremely. There is a sense of gravity here. That's why I was asking now if it's happening underwater or not, because there is a sense of gravity that really emerges from everything that you are doing. Somehow these somehow these absence of gravity, but on the other side also these structural inconsistency of some of the components that is not really an inconsistency because there is no structure, but because the structure are somehow like crystals merging and connecting to each other, defying gravity. No, so you see all these elements that are hanging through the central core. No, it's one of these examples that I was speaking to, and on the other side, that really goes into this concept of lightweight structure is the pattern and the materiality that you are providing, the transparency among the components, the duality again between whatever is translucent and on the other side these metallic elements that are somehow playing with the reflection, somehow merging through the reflection with this absence of weight that is really what you are promoting over here. So extremely elegant at the end, if I can use another word, your work. Congratulations for it. Also quite, again, coherent in between the connection among the elements. You said that you are not an architect, but you know, sometimes the rules of architecture in terms of logic are sometimes much simpler than what you think, and it seems like that you are grasping the essential logic, no? That at the end is the capacity of connecting components and parts. It's in these parts, you know, the combinatorial connection can also works across different scales. You also look into books at the urban planning scale, a pattern language from Christopher Alexander, just to mention one element, one book, one reference. And this connectivity among the parts is, as you can see also in that diagram on the right, is what you are studying and you are defining through your architectural system. So congratulations about it. Congratulations for the elegance that emerge from these images. Looking and thinking about what the master of DesignMorphine provide after, which I have to be honest, again I ignore now what are the new courses that you will have, but I know that it ends up also with the sort of a movie, is sound. I can't wait to hear the sound of this ecosystem that you are creating, because I already hear a little bit of glass in there, but this absence of this materiality or absence of gravity is also something that you should underline in the next chapter. And I'm sure that there is a specific moment in the master where all these other elements turns into it becomes part of the program. So congratulations for it.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Hey, I also really like this project. Beautiful indeed, many ways. I am wondering also, like Aldo, hi Aldo, about this condition of gravity or the complete absence of it. And I seem to hear along the explanation, maybe my ears were hearing because they wanted to something about coral reef. Maybe as I was associating the sounds, and you seem to be saying something about coral reef, but in any case, just derive there. In reefs or underwater, our sense of what's up, down, lateral, our own flotation as we swim amongst strange creatures is completely debased and challenged. It becomes a way of estrangement. No? So I think that what your project is doing is, is sort of playing out this kind of estrangement of what maybe it's an intended or unintended effect. Regardless, it's here. This idea that things may suggest a certain sense of weight, on the other hand, they exist in a kind of vacuum. They could be themselves the entire lab or sort of what did you call it? The container of all of this, the tank?
Yeah,
I'm not sure if it's a very complex tank or if all of these will exist inside of a tank. I'm not concerned with either one or the other explanation. I think that this ambiguity at the moment is quite beautiful. And I'll continue to try to reside in this ambiguity in a way that if the tank is the vessel, and the vessel is this very complex and ever-changing system that has some, more fleshy or more larger vessels shaped by whatever is growing within it and pushing it and forming it, and at some point seem to have crystallized, right? And then you also have some much thinner tubes, which are not necessarily tubes, or not sure if they are now laid out as if they were stretched because of something having weight and over time stretching this sticky like material, and over time it also consolidated into or settled into some sort of form. But I would also question that, try to see if there's another way of involving the process of becoming of this, some sort of fictionalized narrative or the process of becoming rigid or becoming, and then maybe at some point, pushing out of the vessels. And that'll be the really scary moment where we're not safely separated from what's inside the vessel all the time, So is there some sort of way of reverse engineering what already happened here and just trying to go in parts to backtrack and find the moments of becoming vessel and rigid glass, and questioning that a little bit could be interesting vis-a-vis these extraordinary rhythmical arrays of spiny things, right, that are growing and forming into spines, but also are discrete components. And I think what happens when they begin to, if they can, break away from the vessel and begin to shape and potentially give a different kind of placement of the whole tank outside of itself. If this is the tank, the whole thing is this kind of very complex mechanical addition of parts becoming tank. If this were all inside, say, a fishbowl tank type of thing, it's less interesting to me. I mean, wondering that sort of about that sort of lens, where are we, right? What is the tank? Is there a medium, right? Because Aldo was asking, is this underwater? What is that medium really? And that's the medium I think of, it's full of opportunity. The lens, medium, all of that is up for grabs. And I think you can pinch it. Beautiful, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, that's really interesting. Thank you so much. Yeah, I've always thought of the tank as something really rigid, so it's like quite mind-opening to think about it in the way you explained. Thank you.
Can I also build on that? Because I think what would be interesting is like, how do you kind of grow, like how do you like then zoom out, right? So would you design like the entire lab and that would be kind of your amalgamation, or like how would you kind of explore that? Because and then you'd be redefining what a lab would be that would kind of host such an interesting project, right? Like this type of like micro universe. And I don't know, I just feel there's a lot of potential. You just have to break like certain norms that we're dealing with, because it would be really cool. And like just the idea of scale, you could always put like a reference, like even with the background, you could kind of show like, well, not now, but like later on, like how this kind of like this one test tube, like within a larger scale, and just think about it, like start thinking of the world, like, so it's a world building masters in a sense, right? So how are you going to kind of explore that even further? But I'm really excited for like all the different potential like directions you can go from, you could delve into, because it's like when you think of a test tube or something, it's like so small, right? But so much potential because you already kind of explored that. But it's amazing, and maybe I think I really like that it's kind of monochrome. It has this this elegance to it, it's kind of icy, and it's kind of the glacial effect is doing it for me. Maybe it's because we're in December, but like I still like it. It's pretty amazing.
I'm jealous of everyone in the cold right now. Thank you so much, by the way.
You're welcome. Good job.
Thank you.
May I ask which software do you use and how you combine it?
Yeah, so I've used a lot of Cinema 4D, of ZBrush. So and then I've kind of taken, no, we weren't supposed to, but a lot of the ZBrush element into Cinema 4D to kind of construct them in there, just because it's the software I'm familiar with and I'm a one-person team. But yeah, most of the base forms were all done in ZBrush.
Okay. Also, all the texture and the rendering also?
That is all in Redshift within Cinema 4D.
Great work, Lisa. Really happy to see how this project comes out because, like, I know this has been a lot of thought process that you have put in the sense of the form to the material to the interiors. Like, everything has a reason behind it, and I love how you mastered the materiality of the glass, like all the translucency, the frosting, the hard panels. So it just gives that entire shape of the tank, and even keeping the point of view of the scientist and having this overall shape as a scientific apparatus, which is very cool. So, I mean, I just love the aesthetics that you're continuing from your concept to up till now. So, yeah, huge congratulations. And I mean, really appreciate the hard work that you're putting in.
Thanks for your help, Eva. Thanks for carrying it through.
Yeah, thank you. So let's move on to the next team, passing on to Chung.
Yeah, let's go to the group B. Heather and Tatiana.
Guys, sorry I have to go, but I think it's extraordinary work, and I'll look forward to coming meeting you again and see the work evolve and meeting everybody.
Thank you.
Best of luck.
And well, thanks everyone. I was dropping the message not to interrupt you, but thanks a lot for having me, and congratulations for the work. See you soon with your final presentation at the end of the year.
Thank you, Alden.
Bye.
Thank you. I will start sharing my screen. Give me a second. I think, Lisa, could you stop sharing, presenting? Yeah, I can present now. Awesome. Yeah.
Tempest Keeper. I'm Heather Blakey, a sports product industrial designer.
And I'm Adriana Toski, a landscape-focused architect and aspiring engineer.
Relentless storms ravage this rugged world, its endless mountains and valleys lashed by hurricane-force winds. Amid the swirling chaos of their storm-battered landscape, Ray and Dorito have become more than protectors. They are symbols of resilience and hope. Ray's streamlined form and protective armor designed to withstand fierce winds, and Dorito's agile flight and sharp vision have enabled them to forge connections among isolated villages. Their journey of unity led to a turning point, inspiring disparate communities to face the endless tempests together. Now their mission continues from their shelter from the storm. Together with 10 other Tempest Keepers and their loyal companions, Ray and Thorito inhabit the Storm Temple, a remarkable dwelling at the heart of this wild terrain.
We are the creators of Ray and the Tempest Keepers, the architects of their dwelling. We utilize manual, procedural, and parametric modeling to form a worthy corpuscle to sustain their lives in the harsh environment around them. Procedural materials and post-production techniques were used to visualize the space. The Storm Temple stands as a testament to the ingenuity and resilience of the Tempest Keepers.
Its exterior is a marvel of layered design. The outermost facade is comprised of louvers that open and close to control light, as well as function as windmills and redirecting stormwater, funneling into the central fountain. Branch structures hold the pods securely to the central structure, while lattices shield the pods from environmental extremes, flexing to withstand powerful winds and torrential rain. An inner layer, made from light-absorbing material, retains heat and illuminates the interior during the darkest days. Together, these facades create a dynamic shell, protecting the delicate balance within.
Twisting upward from the jagged landscape, the central structure is enveloped in a gnarled vine texture. Tendrils, some static and others swaying gently in the wind, serve dual purposes: harnessing energy from the storm and maintaining a vital connection with other storm temples. The temple is not merely a shelter. It is an ecosystem designed to protect, nourish, and empower its inhabitants. At its core, the sacred fountain emits a soft, cleansing glow, a serene heart that purifies storm water and spiritual energy alike. The water cascades into a central river, flowing through the temple, linking every pod and corner of this extraordinary space. Above this flowing river hover the caves of meditation, an ethereal space where light-drenched pools reflect the steady dance of energy-storing lamps. These lamp-like structures, glowing softly, capture and distribute lightning energy harvested during storms, offering moments of solitude and restoration for the keepers.
Pods of purpose. Radiating from the twisted core are pods designed for specific purposes. One houses the cloud garden, a tranquil haven where the keepers gather. Floating air filtering plants sway gently above aeroponic fungi beds. The garden purifies air and grows vital food, offering both sustenance and serenity. Other pods serve as bunkers, reinforced chambers equipped with secure rooms to protect against the fiercest storms. These pods also house essential supplies, ensuring survival during the most perilous storms.
The furnishings within the Storm Temple mirror its purpose: resilience and renewal. Energy-storing lamps cast a soft, warm light, reminiscent of the glow of lightning captured during storms. Air-filtering plants seem to flow weightlessly, their gentle movements creating a calming atmosphere. Around the meditation pools and within the living pods, every element is thoughtfully designed to support the keeper's mission and well-being. As the Tempest Keepers welcome new inhabitants, modular pods expand to accommodate them, being part of a greater system that thrives on cooperation, adaptation, and shared resources. They're strategically positioned to take advantage of the varied topographies of their environment, evolving into centers of learning and innovation, where knowledge is exchanged and the storm's spiritual power is honored.
The Storm Temple is more than a dwelling. It is a sanctuary for the Tempest Keepers, a place where ingenuity and nature intertwine. It stands resilient in the face of storms, offering refuge and energy and connection. For Ray and Thorito, and their companions, it is a home that embodies their mission to unite a fractured world and rise above the storm.
Thank you.
Thank you, team. What I love about this project is that every element is thought out, and it's such a high quality that like you're really achieving. It seems that you're really working very well as a team. I feel that there are so many interesting opportunities lying ahead, especially in chapter 3. We're going to be designing a space that is going to be on the public space, since now we have the corpuscles and developing these corpuscles into aggregations. One thing that like I'm looking that when you're showing really like the aggregations of 3, like the clusters that you're creating, there is one thing that it's going to be a little bit of a challenge, I think, that in your case to pay a little bit extra attention to it, and it's going to be to create a well-balanced composition. And that's why I'm bringing up the spaces which are public spaces, because I think that then incorporating them is going to allow you to create more better spatial conditions and build around them. But I feel that like what you've created so far, especially like with the first 2 chapters and you know, like you being a newly developed team, I think it's really amazing, and I'm really enjoying seeing all this work coming together. I hope that you're enjoying the journey as well.
Thank you. We're definitely enjoying it.
Yeah.
I'll just jump in. I appreciate the really ambitious project, right? You have so many iterations and lots of similarities that I appreciate across the iterations, but so many differences too, and and lots of. And I think this is a project that has lots of layers. I guess coming as an architect, I'm thinking about like all these layers of skins. And I think that I thought that slide transition that you had from what I think was an AI image where you made the leap to the model. I thought that was very strong. Like that there's a way in which you really you really nailed this idea of like a world where lots of the entities are more aerial, and so you sort of kind of designing them upwards, right? Or if they're kind of suspended in the air, and there's something about their tendrils or their relationship with the environment, or harvesting like resources or kind of nutrients or something like that, or moisture out of the environment is falling down at us. And then to see you explore then, how it grows into different orientations, like, like laterally, off the cliff, and so on, there's a lot of great, work there. And so, maybe just one thought, like also thinking about like a comment about imagining public space next, or, maybe kind of like meeting this idea of like, all the layers, and, especially here, this array of images, really almost suggests that there's a kind of like, eyelid like element, to this. And, so there's like a, there's a very, delicate, luminous body that's then, encased in a lattice. And then some of them, I think, especially the cliffside one, gets this extra level of like segmented shelling. And that, to me at least, that suggests this idea that like they're breathing, or they're opening, or they're closing, or there's some kind of like rhythm, to this superorganism, being alive. And some of that could be like, kind of, closing up for protection or privacy, or some of it could be, opening up for publicity. If there's going to be, it sounds like, maybe a public space, component, to this. And so I'm not sure if there's an animation component, on the horizon or not, or if it's just or if it's a matter of like, could be, just deepening the narrative and thinking about framing and, kind of rendering out these like, different conditions of openness and closeness, to suggest a sense that these are alive and time based. But it's really, really strong work and really ambitious work, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, it was something that we wanted to explore, like how this entity is also living and it's connected with our prosthesis and our characters, and how this will also be connected with environment and evolution when it's a term and when it's not, and to open and close, referring to the interior space and the activities that are inside. So yeah, that would be really interesting to explore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just sorry, just very quick follow-up note. I love that response, and I'll see if I can find a video by First Avenue Machine and drop it in the chat for you. If you don't know it already, you might enjoy it because it's a whole kind of 3-minute reel of kind of imaginary organisms that are kind of part plant and part industrial design, and there's a lot of eyes and skins that are like opening and closing and these kinds of things, and it might just be a nice fellow traveler for you, some good company for you.
Awesome, thank you.
Sure.
I love that. Yeah, thank you. What your comments really made me think about, even the intertwined center opening its spaces more, not just the pods. Like I hadn't really thought about that before. Yeah, I'm excited to keep moving.
Hey guys,
That's okay.
I'll jump in a bit, and just say, I think you guys did a lot of progress since the weeks where I was working with you. It's really nice to see how the sort of project has like come together in terms of the images. I think they look really nice. I think the interiors are quite strong as well. I think my only like sort of small comment is when we start looking at the stuff for the next chapter, at the amalgamations you've done, sort of the pre-phase of that. I think almost you might want to like maybe chop up the flower element and put it somewhere where like we can see it a bit more. I think like especially when you get towards the more dense ones, it almost becomes a bit monochromatic, where you have like your two elements, like you have your pods, the white and then the brown, and they kind of, the sort of liveliness of that center shot, which you're doing a lot of the sort of this pink lighting and this blue hues and whatever. Maybe you'll have to play with adding a third element that you've chopped up and putting in there, and sort of adding this color intrinsically in it, because it gets harder to do this very custom lighting when you have this, whole sort of city-sized thing. But yeah, I think you're in a good spot, and I think it's a lot of progress, and it looks really good. Great job, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's a great tip.
Hey guys, can I jump in here? I want to kind of second some of the things that Jason and Pavlina have commented on already, but I do think that they're really important things to note. I do really love the complexity of your project. I'm like super impressed. I know you guys came and you started chapter 2 with mid-journey images, and you really wanted to be true to that representation of your project. And I think that you pulled it off, which can be really hard to do sometimes when you have this like very strong initial concept. To like carry it all the way through to the end can be a challenge. And I think that you did an amazing job with this. I want to second Jason's point about how nice it is to see like your diagrams and this kind of workflow that you have from these 2D mid-journey images to your 3D models, and some of the like process steps in between that, and then ultimately your amalgamations and the like color-coded diagrams on how you're starting to form those. Those are like definitely all things that you should show in your presentations, but also your portfolios, and it will just be really great for people to see your workflow and your design thinking skills. So I think that is all amazing. I do think that when you move into the amalgamation chapter, like Pavlina started to mention, you might need to think about composition. And I just wanted to add one thought onto the end of that, is that maybe your like pods and your flowers right now are all a very similar scale. So when you start to bring them together, it does start to look very similar across. But I think a fairly simple way to start to break it up is to have pods that are maybe smaller and more like densely together along your main stem. And then maybe some others that are like larger and more spread apart in some areas. And yeah, you can of course like change the materiality and things like that too. But yeah, I think those are my comments, and just really great work. I had a great time working with you guys. I loved how much you embraced Houdini, and I'm super happy to see the project now. So congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I think that was one of the things that I came here to learn, and I was really happy to get as far as we did with it in just these few 6 weeks.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun with that. Thank you.
Great, I'm glad to hear that.
Hi team, congrats on the project. I already typed my comments, but what I love about your project the most that you think about it as an ecosystem. Don't lose it, please, because it's very interesting, and developing the different parts of ecosystem, and it will help you with everything that everybody says, that even the corpuscle beautiful by itself, when it's aggregated together, especially at the very last, I don't know how to pronounce the last words after cliff one, it became a little bit too even balanced. So thinking about the ecosystem and amalgamation will help you to make a differentiate the things. And maybe as Pavlina said, think about public spaces. Maybe there is already something inside these corpuscles that can be work as a public structure. So I congratulate you on the project, but be careful, or maybe bold, I don't know, with amalgamation, to think how to not lose the intricacy of your project and this thinking of balance and ecosystem, because I think it's a very like a strong point of your project, and I feel like in connection a little bit of start losing it. That's why probably everybody comments on it, because everybody wants to help you to elevate project more. So congrats, and keep pushing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for the comments. Thank you, Joanna, Heather, for the project and for the presentation. I think everyone's very excited for next chapter. No pressure. I think yeah, we will do a very good job the next one with the aggregations, different clusters, the spaces, the public spaces. So I'm looking forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you,
team.
Thank you so much.
Okay, let's move on.
Yeah, move on to A2 with David and Henry.
Hello.
Hello, guys. Okay, thank you, everybody. Today we're going to present our project. It's called Cetherac. My name is David Ramirez. I'm a mechanical engineer and a product designer based in Barcelona.
And I'm Henry Van Harens. I'm also a product designer based in Paris. Before we hop into our project, I kind of want to quickly go over the process we did. Just like all the other students, we also explored a new software, namely Houdini. So we try to master as much as possible the procedural techniques, and the result that we are about to show you is mostly from scripts that we made with Houdini. So yeah, without further ado, we would like to start.
I cling to the cold, decaying walls. My body is as frail as what surrounds me. A hollow shell dissolving into the fires of this forsaken vessel. Once alive with energy and purpose, this place is now a tomb where silence presses down like a forgotten memory. Yet I remain, scavenging the faint traces of energy that seep from the walls. When the last spark fades, I will still be here, a whisper in the ruins of this dying world.
Outside, under a sun that barely moves, lies Satarac, a vast expanse of white sands, a barren ocean stretching to infinity. The wind howls, carrying the remnants of the world, gasping for breath. The bones of a forgotten civilization emerge from the dune, like jagged memories. Everything is fading, crumbling into dust.
Among these ruins, I endure. I am a Gebor. My body is slender, my exoskeleton barely holding the lattice of vein channels that let me move. These veins glow faintly, pulsing with the scraps of energy I scavenge. I survive because of my Osirisk. This spiked creature clings to my back, humming faintly with just enough energy to keep me moving. Its tendrils attach painfully to my spine. We are one.
Located deep within the shifting dunes of Satarac, a biomechanical fortress draws life from a distant cosmic source. This is Mutkara. More than a structure, it is a living entity desperate for survival. Its walls, once strong, are eroding under the weight of decay. Each pulse of energy it exhales carries a fading memory of the life it once embodied, yet it keeps moving.
Mutkara is continuously reshaping itself beneath the sands. Its organic mass shifts and reconfigures, extending new branches and creating new pathways as it moves. These shifting forms create tunnels and chambers, adapting to the ever-changing needs of survival. As energy passes through its veins, Mutkara molds itself to accommodate this flow. It evolves in harmony with the desert, a sentient structure that refused to succumb to decay, a bastion that refused to be buried by the sands of time.
Mutkara's exoshell rises from the sands, a protective armor designed to mimic the dunes that surround it. The layered, wavy pattern ripple across its surface, deflecting the blistering winds and relentless sandstorms. These shifting layers not only provide camouflage, but also insulate the vessel against the scorching heat. The exoshell feels alive, a living skin constantly adjusting to the harsh desert climate.
Beneath the exoshell, the semi-opaque walls from the internal structure of Mutkara. These walls are smooth yet translucent, filtering the intense desert light into a soft, muted glow. The wall seems to breathe, expanding and contracting to create new spaces, offering both protection and concealment.
At the core of Mutkara is a complex life support system, a network of glowing, pulsating energy conduits. These conduits branch out from the central reactor, carrying molten energy through every vein of the structure. They pulse rhythmically, infusing each chamber with the power needed to survive. This is the lifeline of Mutkara, a constant flow of vitality, struggling to hold the structure together.
To counter the immense heat generated by the energy, heat dissipation channels spread through Mutkara's body like capillaries. These channels bend the excess heat out into the atmosphere. Without this, Mutkara would collapse under its own power, consumed by the very energy that sustains it.
Mutkara has 5 distinct spaces that can reshape during its constant fight for survival. The towering room with the Astraco reactor fuels this transformation. Within this ever-changing labyrinth, each space tells a story, from a dark, tomb-like entrance to nurturing sanctuaries.
At Mutskara heart stands the sky shard, a towering spire that pierces the heavens. The Astrocode reactor within this spire pulls energy from the void beyond, a stream of cosmic power that flows down into the vessel veins. This chamber is both a lifeline and a shrine, where desperate rituals are performed. The reactor's molten energy illuminates the space, pulsating like a heartbeat, a fragile rhythm that sustains Mutskara's dying body.
Below the sky shard lies the Kifikar chamber. In the center, an ancient Gavr. The oracle is fused to the wall by living tendrils. His petrified form is cracked and hollow, yet his veins still pulse with energy. The oracle whispers to those who come seeking guidance, his words fragmented like echoes from the past. The chamber's bridges and stairs are made from the fossilized remains of fallen Gavars, their bodies transformed into stones by the absence of energy.
Deep within the core of Mutkaras lies the Osirisk Incuboros, a sanctuary cradling the last hope of survival. In this chamber, the Osirisk grow within protected pods, their spiked shells shimmering faintly as the energy pulses through the air. These creatures are nurtured from embryos to full-grown symbiotes, shielded from the harsh environment and potential threats.
Threading through Mutkara is the Hall of Shadows, a labyrinth-like network of narrow twisting corridors that lead to the outside world. These passages are tight, cloaked in darkness, and designed for stealth. The walls seem to shift and breathe, offering concealment. From here, I slip into the desert beyond, where the white sands of Cetric stretch endlessly.
Mutkara and I are the same, fragile, fading, yet clinging to survival. I watch as the wall crack, as the energy pulses weaker. This temple is more than a structure. It's the last desperate breath of a dying world. Thank you, that's everything.
Thank you, team. Absolutely stunning work. I love everything that you've done. You're so consistent from the very beginning, like with your storyline. You're always improving upon it. You're not losing track. So really congratulations about that. The story keeps giving me goosebumps, like you're, perfecting the way that you're, like now basically narrating and telling the story, and I really appreciate that. So thank you really for putting the emphasis and really like putting the time to not only do the work, but also like really craft the way that you're going to present. This is something that is very important to learn, especially nowadays that attention spans are getting shorter and shorter. So it's great that you're able to capture, the attention of the viewer and bring them along in your storyline. I love the sections. If you can bring us along a little bit more, and if you can, walk us through again, like through some of the spaces, I think they're absolutely captivating. There's so much detail that you're going through in them. Like we can definitely imagine, like all these spaces and how everything really like functions. So yeah, thank you for me. Really amazing work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paulina.
Yeah, if I can jump in, I really enjoy your project, guys. I really enjoy all the texture, and it's kind of things that you take a human being and you cut it off. So you have this strong skin outside and all the detail and all the particles inside. I can see, like I can touch it. I see it and I can touch it. I really enjoy it, and congratulations. I think work on that and all the texture has been really complex and big work. So really congratulations. I see that you also embrace a lot the software. I understood that it was your first time using Houdini, but I guess now you're a master, like you really take it. My only comment, it probably seems a bit weird, but is in the logo. I see your logo completely disconnected from your aesthetic. And I don't know, I was like, weird. But this is just my point of view, nothing.
Yeah.
But that's, yeah, I really enjoyed.
Thank you. I think in our head we
Thank you.
were like looking for some ancient kind of scripts or like, you know, engravings they would do in stones or something like that. And we quite liked this font, but I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of goldish and this shiny point probably doesn't. Oh, probably for this chapter, probably was much better with the first chapter. But in this case, in this one in particular, I see like one for me is like contemporary and today's shiny gold, and what you're presenting is another era, another environment. So yeah, but just an aesthetic of the logo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually like the font because it's give this ancient vibe and the runes on the background, but I agree with shininess. It should be also old and decay as the rest of the world.
Good point.
Because
good point.
Okay. Yeah.
because in this case it will feel sacred. But yeah, congrats on the project. It's really amazing and astonishing. And I agree with Laura that it feels like organs to the extent. And I think you choose very interesting narrative to construct, build, and develop the world that's already dead or dying. So it's very interesting story point, and I think it gives you a lot of freedom and fun in a way to have a backstory and also kind of push it to the future and develop this story. Maybe there will be happy ending and then maybe they will find something in chapter 5 that they've solved all their problems or they find another planet. I don't know, but it gives you a lot of freedom of how to construct the narrative and weave it into your design. So I think that's the strongest point that help you to inform such a beautiful project. The only kind of maybe question for you, your corpuscle look very abstract and kind of floating in the air. And it makes sense when you look at just this, but as soon as you show that at the beginning that there is actually a land which attached to it, it's kind of disconnected. So all your aggregations, all your layouts, they disconnected from the landscape. And when you try to put it into the land, it feels sometimes in some pictures very elegant, but in some pictures a little bit forced, like the lowest with a beam to the sky. So going further, I would ask you to think about how it's actually connect to the land, because again, being very ancient, it should be, inside the planet. It's already the sand very quickly eats everything on its way. So maybe it's another story point view, like maybe it used to be floating, but now it's dragged on Earth and crashed. I don't know. But I think this is where your kind of narrative cracks, why it's so abstract without gravity, but at the end of the day, it's on the ground. So there is disconnect there. But other than that, amazing job with Houdini. Like in chapter 2, come on. It's very beautiful, very intricate, and I hope your computers didn't blow up during the rendering.
No, almost.
Maybe, yeah.
But that's an interesting point, and also in our heads in the beginning when we were working on this concept, it was always like something more like Petra, like you know how they carved all those buildings out of the walls of stone, but then like thinking on how to actually do that with a concept like this that has to like have amalgamations and all that stuff was a bit more difficult. But I think we can definitely come back to some sort of ideas like that and like see how it like
Petra is actually a very beautiful example. I think you definitely should use this carvings out of stone with your project. Will be make total sense. And now when you know Houdini, you can VDB Cliffs and your project together. So there is ways. Ask you.
Yeah. Well, I think
I
that's also
also
the nice fact about like the fact that we used Houdini is now that like we have maybe the base shapes, but like in our story we told it as something that can be living and shifting. So like I think definitely we can do some interesting stuff with the same scripts and like try to actually create this as like a living thing, or yeah, just
I also love the gothic vibes that you had on the interiors, like when you were exploring Mid-Journey, like so like some of those like even like more elongated and maybe like very high rise, like explorations. There might be something also to incorporate. Yeah, like for instance, this image of in the right hand side where we see like the prosthesis coming out of the wall, right? Like so, I think that's what like Nadia was talking about, like right, like Petra and like how this is actually carved out. So
Yeah.
like in the next chapter, rather than like growing like more in a circular pattern again, like you can really elongate the designs, and you're going to have the opportunity even in the next the third and fourth chapter, because like also with kinesis, like to create more elements, like especially like for communication, and they can be more vertical, that the connectivity like grows in that way.
Yeah, I just yeah, if you don't mind, I just want to coattail onto I think this discussion is amazing about how it relates to its site, and and is there an aspect of it or a layer to the story that it's like it's made of its site, and just to give you a kind of an additional read on it, I was looking at those very, very striking renderings in context that you have, and it was it was making me think like is there a scenario where like it's like the post sandstorm rendering, because I mean probably you know um this entity in its environment, like after a sandstorm, like that amazing like that all that sort of fibrous kind of like veiny cotton candy like materiality that you have, sand would just pack into that, and create a kind of either permanently sedimented or temporary second skin that would almost it would almost kind of resonate with the kind of like carved kind of dune waved sandstone like shell that you already have around it. And so I think obviously up to you, right, like whatever you want to do as a direction, but I think it's a really, really powerful discussion about what does the object emerge partially out of his environment? Is it finished by its environment? And is there some kind of like cascading like generational change in the way that this forms, and right, and obviously like you got to model it all in one shot, but I think that's what's so important about the world building and the narrative thinking in this class and in this program, that you get to sort of imagine all of this, and then just one quick add on, there's so much I love about so many facets of the project, and including how when you aggregate, right, you make this transition from the veininess that's connecting to everything, and then this kind of interim interior skin, I think, that forms out of that veininess, and then the third more kind of like exoskeletal becoming the mineralization of its environment aspect to it. But I gotta say, and also in some way your Osiris incubator like that, even though, we're seeing it in a vacuum, like that, I just love that, that's really, really powerful, to me, because it's like, it's like your large scale thinking, in those site renderings also happening, in a nested way, at the micro scale, or the smaller scale. And part of this kind of like, procedural thinking about like, like how do layers get made, in this kind of, imaginary, kind of construction site, right? The density of this, reminded me a little bit, these kind of early TED Talk videos where, scientists would be sort of demonstrating how they're going to like 3D print a kidney, or something like that. And, I'm going to throw this out there, and then I'll mute myself, right, to control, damage control here, on the comments. but like, especially, since you guys are like, like I'm an architect, but you're project designers, right? And so there's something strange forming in between our kind of, takes. But yeah, how like, a lot of times, synthetic flesh will be printed directly, and it has the density, like a kidney, has the density of this like fleshy interior, but there are also, as I'm sure other processes where one 3D prints a scaffold, and then material is grown kind of within, and around it, and then the scaffold, it's like made of sugar or something like that, so then it dissolves, right, and you're left with the flesh, and the kind of, the more kind of mineral construction scaffold is, has dissolved and disappeared, and so I just think that you have some really fascinating territory, in all of this, and obviously your modeling and visualization is, is really prompting all these ideas. So thank you.
No, thank you. You're gonna send us the link to the TED Talk you're talking about.
All right, I'll see if I can find it.
Hey guys, I really loved all those comments, very thought-provoking, especially about the environment kind of interacting with your corpuscle, I think is really great. I do want to take just a slight step back and just acknowledge all of your effort in Houdini, because I know that your base form kind of took a little bit longer to evolve. And so the last time I saw your project, it looked literally nothing like this. But I'm really excited to see what you guys have done. I love all the patterning, but even more than that, it's like all of the different layers and the way that you've actually broken up your base form into spaces that have different interior and exterior qualities to them, I think is just really, really successful. And I absolutely love the aesthetic and just the whole narrative and everything behind them. So I just wanted to say I'm really happy to see this and see how you guys took the skills that you learned and then like applied them.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good to hear. I know it was super helpful with like all your help actually. But yeah, I mean, I think it came out super nicely, and I'm happy with it.
Yeah, it looks amazing. I think you should be very happy.
Thanks.
Yeah. Hey guys, congratulations on the project. As much as I've been saying that cinematics of your interiors are like top notch, I love them. How like you have done all the interiors. As much as I appreciate the exterior and the thoughts of the layering that you guys have, it's not overwhelming. It's just balancing out all the details, and it is very nice in proportions. And other thing I would really want to appreciate in your interiors, you did not just always had a standing, like a pose of your character. You had a characteristic where you were like making this crawl, and so you brought it out into this all of your renders, which just gives us more like cinematic appearance of it, like how this guy is crawling inside this cave like or tunnel like structure, which just enhances the feeling of this interiors. And of course the sections are just like the master shots of this project, and I love them, how they look like. So congratulations for all the efforts that you guys have been putting into the project.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eva.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
the TED Talk link. Amazing.
Cool. So let's move on to the next project, Uchul.
Yep. Let's go back to Group B. We have Kia and Oik.
How we doing, y'all?
Hello, everyone. So my name is Kaya. I'm based in Seattle, and my background is actually in environmental science.
I'm David Ork. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland, and my background is fashion design.
And we're going to present to you our project called The Eclipse.
Yeah, just before that, sorry, can you go presentation mode? Maybe
Oh
the
yeah,
previous
sorry about that.
needs to
Someone is still in presentation mode, so if someone could exit that. Thank you. Welcome to Veluthra, a remote and enigmatic moon in the Orbeles solar system. It is here in this alien environment that the Eclipse, a nomadic hive mind of moth-like creatures, has chosen to make their temporary home, marking yet another chapter in their long history of survival, exploration, and innovation. Since their liberation from bondage, they've built a collectivist, utopian society, one that thrives on their ability to architect ephemeral cities and traverse the cosmos, earning them the scientific name Chrysolumina vagabundus. At the heart of their civilization is the hive, a living bioengineered mothership made from anaerobic lichen. Its upper levels house numerous shuttle docks, the lower levels rows of gooey egg deposition pools, and at its core, a network of shimmering hallways leading to the queen's throne room. Simultaneously, broodmother, matriarch, and pilot, she oversees all through the eyes of her beloved workers, experiencing each world as they do from thousands of miles above. Centuries ago, the Eclipse escaped a dark age of subjugation under an oppressive mammalian regime that exploited their silk-weaving capacities. Fleeing their home planet, they left behind the vestiges of their natural biology, adopting bioengineered cybernetics that allowed them to survive the unforgiving reaches of space. Neither machine nor organism, the Eclipse have evolved into something wholly novel. Perhaps their single most identifying feature is their robotic eye, which relays constant visual feedback to the Queen. Their helmets, equipped with optical scanners, catalog materials of interest, while their chest-mounted life support systems allow them to carry their native atmosphere and climate wherever they roam. Communication within the hive is telepathic, transmitted through delicate signals from their antennae. Stitching these technologies together are layers of protective plating that defend vital organs and prepare workers for whatever harsh environments await them. Between the rhythmic flutter of their wings, one might notice a peculiar saddle garment fastened to each adult's back. Its purpose? To carry a pupa. These pupae, encased in a machine-brain interface suits, contribute to the hive's operations even as they undergo metamorphosis. While their suits recharge, adults wear them on their backs, protecting them in this vulnerable, unconscious state. Upon arrival in orbit, the Eclipse scatters from the hive in detachable shuttle pods descending to Veluthra's surface. The swarm pilots amphibious exploration vehicles to survey locations of interest, each outfitted with a deployable seeker bug probe for assessing hazardous zones. Eventually, they construct a temporary city of hanging structures deep within the moon's humid caves. Upon closer inspection, one may observe that each structure is in fact a grand mosaic of hundreds of smaller units, which aggregate into a sprawling, interconnected metropolis, much like cells forming an organism.
Let us now examine one such unit in greater detail. Towering spires crown its apex, where adult specimens rest in shaded crevices. At their base lies the incubation chamber, home to the next generation in its earliest stages. Rows of egg pods face inward, illuminated by the central royal chandelier, which is composed of scales from their queen's bioluminescent wings. In this way, the eggs remain close to their distant mother, basking in her warm, nurturing glow. Beneath the chandelier, a pool marks the origin of an artificial river of nutritive fluid, which serves to create a vertical moisture gradient within the unit. Following its path downward, we approach the nursery, where it cascades down spiraling platforms and collects in shallow pools. At the center of each platform sprouts a hydroponic garden growing viney Voluthran flora. This gooey, humid environment is ideally suited for the larvae, who spend their delicate phase of their lives feeding on the vegetation under the watchful care of the pupa. When larvae are mature enough to produce silk, it is collected and transported to the factorium for processing into biomaterials. Once the fluid completes its descent, it is drawn up a tube into the hydroprocessor. There, filter-feeding microbiota purify it before it is pumped back to its origin, sustaining an unbroken loop of life within the dwelling. Extending outward is an armature that forms a dome-shaped gelatinous membrane. Within it lies a conductive metal lattice, where exploration vehicles dock and recharge. Similar to our own species' blood-brain barrier, this gelatinous membrane serves a protective role, only allowing those with eclipsed DNA to pass through. Orbs of this same membrane material can also be found lining the walls of the unit, serving as windows to let in natural light, as well as a secure exit and entryway. The framework of the dwelling is crafted from a silk lichen biocomposite, the same material used in the Eclipse's body armor. Silk proteins provide elasticity, allowing the building to flex under tensile stress, while lichen fibers provide structural integrity and self-repairing properties for minor damage. Copper struts reinforce this framework, their anti-oxidative properties protecting against corrosion and temperature fluctuations, while panels of high carbon steel fortify the dwelling against cave-ins and falling debris. But perhaps the most fascinating material is the genetically engineered slime mold that encases the dwelling. This immortal fungus is marvel of scientific innovation, optimized for thermal insulation and moisture absorption, preventing condensation from forming internally to preserve the dryness of the respires and armatures. As the slime mold reaches saturation, it excretes purified water droplets that are then collected and redirected to nearby cave reservoirs, completing a self-sustaining cycle of moisture management. Every material engineered by the Eclipse is designed to be recycled or fully biodegraded, in ultimate preparation for their once again departure into the stars. As we humans grapple with the consequences of hyper-individualism, overconsumption, and a lust for permanence, these minuscule creatures remind us that there is another way. They carry with them no heavy monuments or lasting cities, only the memories of their journey and the bonds of their community. Perhaps in this fleetingness, they have found what so many others never will: true freedom. Thank you.
Thank you, team.
Thank you.
Thank you, team. Amazing, very interesting project. Loving how it's coming together. I'm happy to see also like the connectivity diagrams because like I can see like a lot of opportunities like for you to develop into the next chapters. The geometry is very interesting and I think it's unexpected in a way, and I think that that's what makes it very unique, you know, like the whole spatial conditions that it's going to allow you to create, and also loving like the suspended vibe and a lot of the images and renders that you've created. Thank you, beautiful work.
Thank you.
Hi, team. What a beautiful project. I like the unique species and unique society that you decided to dwell on. It's really cool. I really enjoy the color scheme, but I do have kind of 2 points that I hope you won't be angry with me and it will help you in the future. So first, your color scheme is very beautiful, but a little bit repetitive from the prosthesis to corpuscle. because your project is so rich on geometry and textures, it's kind of blended all together. So I think you can evolve and differentiate a bit prosthesis from its environment, and later big environment, because I think you set yourself a trap for future that everything will be yellow and purple. But maybe you can introduce different shadings, maybe different also some colors, because this world is new for them, so there might be new colors for them to explore and materials. So think about it, because your imagers are beautiful, but it's very hard to spot your guys there inside the interior. And another thing that kind of troubled me during your presentation, it's kind of throw me from your narrative, that you showed us diagrams multiple times. I understand why you do that, because it's complex project, so you want to make sure that we follow the architecture of the thing. But at the same time, if you just spend long enough time once on a diagram that a person can look at it, you don't need to show it again. I would rather spend time looking at your stunning images because they're beautiful and I want to look more and closer and deeper into them rather than repetitive diagram. Think about this, because you have a very intricate and beautiful project, but these two things kind of, kick me out of your narrative from your movie. And I hope you can think about how to integrate it more smoothly. I don't know, maybe it's only me who has this problem, but think about it.
Thank you.
Thank you for your feedback.
I also agree with Nadia about this, because first of all, it's a really beautiful project, right? And I really love the idea. Like when I first saw the first image where the corpuscles were kind of dangling, I assumed it would take more of a lanterny type of vibe, or like they're just hanging, like hanging fruits. But then this interesting like composition came up, but I never really kind of got that other lantern vibe. Like this type of movement or this type of growth. So maybe you could think about that in your next chapter. And also, is it only going to be like, I also want you to think maybe of the type of, like, how are they hanging from, maybe like from the caves, or like, let's say there's like other types of context or terrain that they're kind of latching onto. Because here with this composition specifically, like the one we have on the screen, you don't really see that it's just hanging. It could fit in different contexts. That's what I mean. But you could also think of how they latch onto these different environments. And also then the colors that Nadia was talking about would maybe then mimic or kind of reflect the environments, these different types of terrains or different types of environments. Because again, they kind of escaped their old planet, right? Or their old habitat. So maybe think about it from this sense and try to like maybe incorporate that type of incorporate this type of feedback maybe in the next chapter. I think it would really appear in the next chapter, and you could have these variations then, because you've got these strong like keywords that kind of link to this project specifically. So maybe capitalize on that, and it would just take it to a completely different level. But it's a really beautiful project. So good job.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. A lot of good stuff to think about.
100%.
Hey guys, I'll just insert a quick congratulations for your enthusiasm with Houdini. I did really appreciate how you guys just like dove straight in and you really like accepted the challenge. I think that it shows a lot in your project, and there's just a lot of depth and complexity to the various parts of your corpuscle that I really appreciate. I do agree with some of the comments. I'm wondering if like a lot of the purple areas look like they're glowing, which I do like and I want to like continue with, but I'm wondering if it might be more selective as to like which parts are very bright and look like they have a light versus which parts are maybe a bit darker or just not looking like luminescent in a way that might also be able to help you guys. But again, I'm like super excited at seeing all of these interiors that I haven't seen before. I love the project narrative. I think that you guys just did like a really great job with this chapter. So congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your help.
Thank you, Kira. You definitely gave us the confidence to get into Houdini, and this entire
For
thing
sure.
was modeled in Houdini. Really, like there was no grasshopper, little ZBrush in the furniture. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm aware. I know, and I'm very happy. I'm just super thrilled that you guys were able to do that. So congratulations again.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, team. Thank you for the project and the presentation. I really appreciate you guys pushing and adding all the images and all the work you guys did in the last few weeks. So congrats on that. You should be very proud of the work you make. And yeah, looking forward to the next chapter where we definitely use Grasshopper. And yeah, thank you, team.
Thank you, Tom.
Right. Thanks, Tung.
Group A4 with Bala.
Hey everyone. So everyone can see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah.
Just go into the presentation. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Hello everyone. I'm Balamurugan from India. I have a background in architecture. Cryo 28. Let's begin. Hi, I'm Kara. This is my story. It all started in 28 when an asteroid Ricardo 2 struck Earth, creating a massive crater in Sahara Desert. But the real shock wasn't the devastation. It was what the impact revealed, an electromagnetic anomaly that uncovered a parallel universe called Proxima Centuria, just beyond our understanding. After decades of research, scientists opened a portal to this strange world. I was one of the 15 chosen to cross over, equipped with exoskeleton suit, powered by the energy from anomaly. What we found was breathtaking, towering crystalline structures, pulsing with energy, and a world alive with strange energy. Cities were empty, reminiscence of an advanced civilization, Ranas, who had vanished mysteriously. Before we could uncover their fate, the portal back to Earth closed. Straggling us, the crystal found us become vital, powering our suit and sustaining us. But they did more than that. They transformed us. We gained enhanced strength, speed, and endurance. Our skin evolved, partially becoming crystal, offering protections and energy manipulation abilities. We even communicate telepathically, harnessing the planet's energy. Our primary habitat, the corpuscle, follows a leaf formation with a seamless organic interior. It's a multi-tiered, interconnected system designed to harness and optimize planet's resources with structural serving as a distinct purpose. All unified by a central core that facilitates energy flow and connectivity. Level 1. Storage pod. A secure space for preserving essential supplies and resources. Upgrading pod. Cryo undergoes scanning, analyzing, and enhancement to complete their transformations into fully mutated species. Library. A knowledge hub with informations from Earth and a new world, serving as a resource for learning and research. Level 2. Breeding pod. A controlled environment ensures species survival and continuity. Garden and meditation pod. A serene space promoting relaxation, mindfulness, and connectivity with planet's element. Level 3. Control pod. the operational center for monitoring and managing its entity. Communal pod, a sharing space for social interaction, collaboration, and cultural activities. Pulse wave, a vertical energy conduit that channels power from the planet's core into corpuscle, ensuring continuous energy flow to sustain its functionality and supports its inhabitants. Pod degradation, a gradual process when the crystal structure fractures, reducing energy flow and functionality. Over time, the weakens outer skin exposes internal component to environmental stress, accelerating decay. Dynamic lighting conduit. More than illumination, this integrated light strips, channels, and distributes energy throughout the corpuscle. They adapt to environmental change, ensuring efficiency, energy flow, while enhancing the habitat, function, and aesthetic appeals. Budding pod, a unique adaptive feature that allows the structure to grow additional pods based on the evolving needs. The growth rate is directly tied to the energy absorption by crystal core. A dynamic skin, protective shield against harsh electromagnetic wave, with a surface pattern that adapts to energy level, increasing density and hardness for enhancing protections in risk-free zones. Fusion core connects with the planet's ground or nearby corpuscle to transfer energy. Act as a central node for distributing power driven from the surrounding crystals and planet's energy network. Absorption and transportation deck. Multifunctional spurs serves as a vantage point for observing the environment, facilitating transit between the corpuscle and external location, ensuring seamless mobility. Skin provides an additional layer of insulation and environmental energy regulations for individual pods, tailored to maintain an ideal internal environment within each pod, adjust based on the pod function. Pod roof, optimized for energy absorption. It features crystalline panel that captures and channels energy to fusion core, enhancing efficiency, stability, and adaptability in dynamic conditions. Circulation, the main axis of corpuscle linking all the levels and pods, enabling seamless movement while fostering collaboration and building a dynamic community. The journey begins in the entry point. The design has a secure access portal into Corpuscle. From here, the inhabitants are guided into central core, intersection hub, the heart of the structure. Central core acts as a primary access link, linking all the levels and pods within the Corpuscle, serves as a central gathering space for inhabitants, fostering interactions and collaborations. Features vegetation space, a lush, vibrant area featuring native flora, contributing to the ecosystem's balance and providing energy to corpuscle. Seating areas, strategically placed for relaxation and social interaction, blending seamlessly with the organic environment. A core path leads to the specialized area where cryo undergoes diagnostics and enhancements. Advanced tools scans and analyzes and addresses deficiency, guide them to complete their transformation into fully mutated species and efficiency. Alpha SDB. Alpha SDB is a powerful system and the heart of the upgrading process, providing essential energy to driven transformation while controlling, monitoring the entire upgrading procedure. Luma planter bots. The Luma planter bots monitors energy flow of each plant using sensors to measure energy absorption. This data is sent to central system for adjustment to optimize energy distribution in habitats. This interconnected design ensures most transaction between spaces, making the corpuscle not just a habitat but fully integrated and adaptive system. Formation 1. Quota formation. A radial design to improve accessibility and collaboration between corpuscles. HSA formation. Shield against high electromagnetic activity, redirecting harmful energies for safety. Spine formation. Perfect for mountain regions, capturing energy from both the ground and surrounding landscape. In this world, where survival demands indigenous adoption and unity, corpuscle become more than a habitat. It's a testament for our resilience, a living reminder of how we tuned a foreign hostile land into thriving symbiotic home, forever entwined with the mystery and energy of Proxima Centuria. Thank you.
Thank you, Bala. Thank you for your presentation. I think that the project is coming along nicely, and I love the color palette you're using and how you're integrating like the work from from chapter 1 and the body and how it transcends now into the Corpuscle level. I think that you have some very interesting designs that like then will be enable you then to continue into the next chapters. I think that some of the color palette that you're using, like it makes things blend a little bit more than probably like I would like to, because like I think that there is an opportunity to read a little bit better, you know, like the geometries that you're creating, if there is a little bit more contrast, especially I think that in some of the interiors. But they look very ephemeral and beautiful, you know, like they're well addressed, but just something to consider. Also adding some additional details, cleaning some of the geometries, you know, like that would help really elevate the design to the next level. But I think that the base is here, and I think that you've done an incredible job really growing in this chapter and handling everything as a solo team. So really congratulations from me.
Yeah, thank you, Belena. Thank you.
Hey, Bala. I also really appreciate the sort of overall aesthetic that you've chosen for your project. It's really great to see materials and textures on the models that I had seen earlier a few weeks ago. And I especially like the textures that you have on the roof pods and the dynamic skin. They're sort of like ripply and like they have this like striated like ribbing on them, which I think is really, really cool and adds a nice amount of detail to your surface. I'm wondering if those could be, or if like materials and textures similar to them could be more apparent on the interiors, if you could use them more there, and then also perhaps the like general skin that you have, that's sort of that like pearlescent material, could also benefit from a finer detail of material as well. I think that somewhat aligns with what Pavlina has just said. But overall, I think your interiors look really nice. You're creating really nice spaces with your model. And again, it's just really speaking to this overall like tone, aesthetic, and narrative that you have created with your projects. So I really appreciate those. I do have a question for you. You've presented several options for your sort of amalgamations that you'll make in chapter 3, and I think it's really great that you're starting to explore those. I was just wondering if there's one type of formation that you're leaning towards using, or if you're intending to use all of them, and why, like what your thinking is behind that.
I'm going towards like formation 3 because of the verticality. It has more verticality as well as it can be spread across, even in the vertical fit. So I think like this is what I want to go for next amalgamation chapter.
Yeah, I think that's also my favorite formation because it has a little bit less symmetry. So I think you'll be able to create more unique compositions and things with it as well as you progress forward. So thank you for your presentation. I'm excited to see this project come along, and I think you've come a long way already since I last spoke to you. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm just gonna jump in here. I think you made a lot of progress, and I really appreciate the amount of time you must have put into sort of texturing and making the corpuscle sort of all that it needs to be. Just building upon the previous comments, I think like what the small things that I'm missing a bit in it is just the you know, if you look at one of the side views, you have the crystals going down, and you've made sort of this the similar formation that's more horizontal. And I think like what we're missing a bit is like also linking those two so they feel like they're part of one sort of cohesive structure. They feel a bit separate, and I think that sort of applies to a lot of the elements where they're you know, on the top you have this very, very smooth part, and then you have your your pods that have this more jewel-like sort of I don't know, like rose gold kind of color. But I feel like we're missing a tiny bit how you transition from one element to the other, just sort of the finesse in it, you know. But I think like going into the next chapter, you'll have to separate it up anyway, and maybe you can just rework the textures a tiny bit so they feel. I think you'll get more of a feel when you're having, you know, hundreds of them and you're sort of need to mix them, how to make this thing sort of work as a cohesive unit. I think as the corpuscle it still works, but it would have been nice to just get like that tiny bit more out of the detailing. But overall, I think like, you know, great improvement, and I know you put in a lot of work to get it to the point where it is now. So I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Ask. Thank you.
Hey, Bala, I really appreciate the hard work that you have put in this project. Like, you know, it was a solo team and you were struggling to get the form, but eventually what we see on the screen is a very beautiful and an elegant form that you've achieved. And the material choices, the color choices, just like, you know, compensates it, and it just like becomes really nice, intricate details. But I totally agree with the comments on texturing that we can just explore for the next chapters. But for right now, like as I see the section and the details that are coming inside, it just adds to the elegance of the overall form. So yeah, really appreciate the works that you have been doing as a solo team. So congratulations on that.
Yeah, thank you.
Cool. So maybe we can move on to Group P
Thank you, Bala. Thank
with
you
the
for the
next team.
presentation. Yeah. Okay, we have next team, Sahil. Ruby.
Hey guys,
Hello.
how's everyone doing? Okay, let me just share my screen. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
All right. Hey guys, my name is Sahil Sheikh. I'm from India, currently working as an architect in Saudi Arabia. Today I'll be presenting my project at Crystal Bread. This project is based on an alien planet that is made out of silicon and crystals as a life form. So let me start. And we are looking at the story from the point of view of a crystalloid known as Serath. In the world of Silaxa, an alien realm brimming with crystalline beauty and ethereal energies, a fragile balance exists. The crystalloids, native beings of shimmering facets and radiant cores, have lived in harmony with Silaxa's subterranean wonders for millennia. Yet, their existence is threatened by human incursions, as desperate survivors of a dying Earth seek to harvest Silaxa's unique resources. This clash of survival and exploitation forms the backdrop of our story, where I, Serath, a crystalloid, narrate the tale of our habitat and its deep connection to the planet we call home. Deep beneath the crust of Silaxa, where light bends through crystalline caverns and the air hums with an ancient resonance, lies the resonant depths, the habitat of the crystalloids. I am Serath, a crystalloid
that narrates the tale of our habitat, a being of shimmering facets, flowing forms, and symbiotic energy. My body's crystalline geometry is both organic and angular. Its translucent lattice houses a radiant core that pulses in harmony with the habitat around me. Our home is not just a shelter, it is an extension of ourselves, grown and evolved over millennia to sustain us, protect us, and amplify the energies that define our existence. Each space reflects the symbiosis between our crystalline forms and the natural elements of Silaxa, a living entity where every frequency, light beam, and mineral particle is intertwined. Long ago, we shaped the resonant depths to harmonize with the planet's innate energy, drawing inspiration from the metallic armor and crystalline lattice of our own body. The intricate patterns etched into our shimmering forms became the blueprint for the habitat's design, allowing it to mirror our resilience and adaptability. The base model of our habitat aggregates seamlessly to form a unified structure. Each crystalline node within the module anchors essential spaces, growing organically into a single unit. Once the crystalline extensions at the ends are added, the habitat comes alive, becoming a fully functional resonant entity. The habitat evolved as we analyzed the planet's subterranean patterns, its shifting tectonics, mineral veins, and the natural resonance of its crust. Adapting to Silaxa's weather, we designed spaces to channel energy flows, nurture growth, and nurture growth. The habitat's crystalline structure reflects light and amplifies resonance, creating a seamless extension of our physical essence. Just as our metallic exoskeleton shields us from harm and channel ambient frequency, layers of liquid metal armor shield the crystalline interior, each layer dynamically shifting to provide protection and sustain the habitat's resonance. The crystals at the end of each armature, gleaming like the angular extensions to our own form, serve not just as visual markers but as vital energy amplifiers. The resonant depths contain the different spaces within them, each designed to harmonize and amplify energy flows that sustain the habitat. What emerged is an ecosystem of bioluminescent crystalline chambers, mineral-rich pools, and modular crystalline structures. The habitat grows as we grow, forming extensions to meet our needs while maintaining harmony with the resonant depths natural elements. At the heart of our habitat lies the resonance chamber, encased in faceted crystalline walls that refract light into endless hues. These walls, smooth yet fractal, resemble the interior of a geode. Suspended within the chamber are resonance crystals hovering in fields of ambient energy. This space is the core of our existence, where energy flows, sustain and regenerate our crystalline forms. It is a sacred sanctuary, vibrating with frequencies that amplify our connection to Silaxa. Adjacent to this core lies the crystalline healing pool, a circular basin filled with iridescent liquid minerals. Its angular crystalline walls shelter us as we immerse ourselves to enhance healing and recharge our elemental powers. Close by is the luminescent sanctuary, a secluded room where crystalline spires resonate with our emotions, glowing brighter as we meditate and strategize. This space is both a retreat and a bastion of defense. Adjacent to this course, just a second. Below, the symbiotic grove thrives, a semi-open space of crystal trees and vines, humming with energy and forming an interconnected ecosystem that supports smaller symbiotic organisms. These organisms amplify resonance and maintain the habitat's balance. Our habitats are modular, designed to connect seamlessly. One way two habitats unite is through a crystalline bridge connection, a pathway that glows faintly with resonant energy, allowing elevated traversal while offering panoramic views. Alternatively, a subterranean resonant tunnel can be created, an enclosed crystalline corridor pulsing in harmony with movement, providing seamless subterranean travel. A third connection, the suspended pathways, meander through open caverns, its glowing tendrils dynamically creating clusters of the habitat. The modularity of our design allows the habitat to expand into an urban network, interconnected modules forming towering crystalline spires and sprawling groves, resonating in unison to sustain larger population. These cities, grown organically, harmonize with Silaxa's ecosystem while amplifying its ambient energies. Each urban cluster becomes a living entity, a symphony of light, sound, and energy evolving alongside its habitants. The resonant depth embodies the essence of crystalloids. Yeah, I'm done. It's just the last line. Sorry? It's just the last line.
Yeah,
I'm done.
more sentences, please. Yeah, we're way past time.
The essence of crystalloids, a world of harmony, functionality, and balance. It is not merely a habitat, but a reflection of our being and a testament to our connections with Silaxa, ensuring that our legacy endures in perfect resonance. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the presentation. I'm happy to see everything coming together. It's definitely an interesting story, like, like in the, how you're thinking about the crystals. I think that there is an opportunity to work more with light and luminescence and, like reflections in the spaces. I feel that there is also an opportunity to continue the investigation of materiality with light and because like again, like as we move forward, we have the opportunity to change things. And I do feel that we are a little bit in a monotonous space, like with color palette and materials that you've chosen for now. But again, you have a lot of time to improve on those. I think that you have good assets to work like in the next chapters, which is the most important part. But something else also to consider would be, again, like working with the scale of the components and having some more dominant and other less dominant like parts that can then combine like Lego pieces and create your world. Yeah, I really appreciate the effort you've put in with this chapter. Happy to see the progress, but I feel that there is an opportunity for one step further, like to improve, in the next chapter, and that again like, comes naturally, like step by step. So I'm not worried. Thank you so much.
Yes, definitely. Thank you, Pavleen.
I think jumping off some of those comments, I agree with what Pavlina has said about introducing a little bit more diversity to the overall corpuscle. I appreciate all of the different layers that you've taken for this skin and this patterning, but the way that they've been applied to sort of like the entire form that you've used for your corpuscle does make it feel very like self-similar, especially when you start aggregating them. I feel like if maybe that initial form was further broken down into parts that each had sort of a different expression or a different materiality, that could really help you. I'm
Mhm.
also questioning the use of this sort of metallic material as the main material throughout your system, because when we're thinking about crystals, I would normally think of more like a rock or a geode or something kind of more rough and more natural feeling, whereas this is becoming very sort of hard surface and man-made. It feels very much like jewelry more than, say, like an environment that something would live in that has, you know, like an ecosystem in it. So I don't think that you have to like get rid of all the metallic aspects, but I'm just wondering if maybe some of those layers that you've developed could become something that is not metallic, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I think
definitely.
those are my comments. But beautiful work since I've last seen you. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, Sahil. Thank you for the presentation. I think like since we last worked on it, I think there's a big improvement. I think the pattern on the shell, although I agree with Kira's comments that maybe, you know, there's sort of um a bit more of a sort of finesse to where to put it or how you sort of manage it. I think the actual sort of scripting and the work you did to get that to look the way it looks, I think is good. I think it turned out pretty well. I would have loved to see sort of some more of like proper interiors. From what I gathered, like most of them were like more still AI in phase. It would have been nice to see you develop those a bit stronger. And there was some stuff when we were working there where you had these, you know, the crystals on the inside in the section view that I think, like, you know, we were trying to guide you towards a way where we could still have these spaces with some crystal walls. Yeah, actually, you still have some more interior chambers. It might have just been a way, like, I
Yeah.
think the section view looks a slightly messy. It might have been a thing where you could have like darkened some of the areas so we could see the interiors a bit more.
Yeah.
It was just, yeah, it's a bit difficult to read sometimes, but I mean, I appreciate all the work you've put into it. I know it was quite difficult at times to get these things working the way you wanted them to. And definitely, you know, you picked a challenging sort of I guess subject matter, if that makes sense.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Good. Yeah, thank you for the work.
Thank you, Sahil. Thank you for the projects. Thank you for the presentation. I think you did an amazing job actually presenting the whole thing from the story to the projects and all of the details you got and explaining everything was there from your mid-journey images to the models. I think you did a very good job. Taking to the comments from the Paulina and Kira and Oscar, I think can still improve on that in the next chapter and the chapters to come. And you should be very proud of the work that you did. And thank you for the presentation. Everything
Yeah.
looks very
Thank you,
good.
guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Now let's go to A.
Yep. Okay, so now we have Alina from A5.
Hello, everyone. Okay, let me share my screen. Today I will be without noise. I'm not in the plane, and I'm so happy that I can present my work. Okay. Okay, let me know, please, if you can see my screen.
Yep, we do.
Yep. Yeah, and I guess someone in presentation mode still.
Maybe Sahil, you can cancel. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay. Here we go. Okay, my name is Alina.
I'm located in Florida, in Fort Lauderdale, and I'm project manager, and I'm very excited to share with my work results during chapter 2. And here is my story. Greeting travelers of the unknown. I'm Alpara, an Aquarian who survived the fall of our kingdom. Today, I take you on a journey through our world, enigma of Aquarius, and share the story of our fall, rise, and the intricate architecture that sustains our survival. Our world thrived in telepathic harmony, nourished by algae-rich seabeds that connected us all. The harmony was shattered when an asteroid brought a parasite that infected the algae, our lifeline. At first, the signs were subtle, discoloration, weakened telepathy, and eventually grotesque mutation. The parasite exploded our telekinetic bond to spread through the waters. In our darkest moment, I gathered the uninfected. With my companion Ruferian, we harnessed the algae magnetic properties to create a barrier that expelled the parasite. Though scars remain, we restored unity and hope. The corpuscles, aquamarises, we inhabit are not merely shelters, but living symbols of our connection to the ocean and the algae that sustain us. Oh, I'm sorry. Their design emerged from a deep exploration of our aquatic heritage, blending organic inspiration with innovative craftsmanship. Each component of the corpuscle plays a vital role in protecting and sustaining us. The dome is a heart of our dwelling, its form inspired by the bell of jellyfish. Translucent and undulating, it filters the depth light of the ocean, casting a serene glow within. Inside, we find balance, a space for reflection, gathering, and unity. The rhythmic pulsation of the dome mimic the movements of the ocean, allowing our homes to adapt and drift with the currents, symbolizing our philosophy of resilience and harmony. Embedded within the capsule are telepathic resonance centers, spaces designed to amplify and harmonize our telekinetic bond. These centers act as hubs of communications where thoughts, emotions, and energy flow seamlessly between Aquarians. Their intricate design reflects the organic patterns of our neural networks, fostering clarity and unity across vast distances. Pet habitats within the capsule are self-sustaining microecosystems that maintain harmony between Aquarians and their symbiotic companions. Algae generations hubs ensure a constant cycle of growth and nourishment, while light white pet bubbles provide secure, free-flowing environments. Surrounding the dome are tendril-like passageways inspired by jellyfish tentacles. Interwoven with algae, they nourish us, sustain our telekinetic bond, and act as protective conduits, echoing the jellyfish's natural defenses. In the heart of the capsule lies the ritual hub, a sacred space where we reconnect with the essence of Aquarius. Under the glow of our protective energy field, we perform healing dances and algae blessings. The design of the capsule incorporates flowing open spaces and resonant surfaces, amplifying the energy of these rituals and enhancing their transformative power. These rituals purify our telekinetic bond, restore harmony, and remind us of the unity that keeps us strong. The capsule contains carriers and generators of energy, seamlessly integrated with the ocean natural currents to sustain its inhabitants. Powered by the telekinetic properties of algae, it harnesses and amplifies energy, creating a self-sufficient system that protects and nurtures all within. In the depths of Aquarius, we have learned that survival is not about isolation, but about connection to each other, to our environment, and to ideas that bind us. Our car capsules, with their intricate design and purposeful function, are the beating heart of our resilience. I invite you to explore this underwater marvel and witness the spirit of Aquarius in every curve, every glow, every breath within our singularities. Thank you so much for your attention. It is the end.
Thank you, Alina. It's really beautiful to see the work coming together. There are a lot of different elements that you're introducing to your world that are really beautiful. Like it looks like a coral reef. I think that here again, like on color and materiality, like you can continue the exploration because like some of, especially like the exteriors, like they feel that they're a little bit like monochromatic. And again, like we can bring in this liveliness like of the coral reefs and, you know, these beautiful colors that can be introduced. And also like playing just like with the texturing, right, like of the designs, so improving a little bit the visual language. I feel that it's a very interesting design. Can we see the formations of how you're thinking of connecting them together, like for the next steps? Okay, so yeah, we see different kind of formations and ideas. I don't know if the again, like vertical formations might be the best way to go in your case. It might be interesting also to explore like more like spiral-like or more free flowing, you know, like environments with more spaces between them, since again, like it depends also like on each person's really like storyline and how it develops. So in your case, obviously, like you could enter in multiple ways since you're underwater. So it's interesting like to see like how exactly like these spaces will be activated, thinking about this you know, like a specific aspect of the project itself. But yeah, I appreciate like all the beautiful work, and I think that like you're one step closer to really like you know, like an amazing project coming together, like with all its components. Thank you.
Thank you, Paulina. Yeah, thank you so much for your feedback. I appreciate it.
Hi, Lina. Congrats on the projects. Very beautiful. Ocean is always tricky to work with. And I agree with Pavlina on a color, but I want to discuss with you your Prestige is kind of a mermaid-like creature. So my question to you is, do they have like a infrared or ultraviolet vision that sea creatures have? If yes, then in this case, you can unlock yourself an opportunity of very vibrant world if you want to, but at the same time, intricate one, because like there is a creature called mantis shrimp, the one that one of the most colorful ones, but because of ability to see different spectrum, they see different. So you can show your story through the eyes of your creature rather than, so right now it looks like we human look into this world, but it would be interesting as you go further to see how the creatures see their world themselves. And if they have extended visual spectrum, that unlock a lot of opportunities for you to do like very interesting world, because you just, as Paulina said, one step away. So don't restrain yourself. Go all out.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much. It's amazing idea. Honestly, I didn't think in such way. It's amazing advice. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I could also add that I really enjoy the little ecosystems almost that you have in like these areas, like you see in the cross section. I also worked a bit with underwater, so like an underwater world. So it it's really interesting, like your take on it. And I love the folds and everything. But you could add even more texturing to really bring it together. And it's very endearing, like how it's almost monochromatic with like the turquoise color. Um, but you know what could actually really, even if it's the same, even if it's the same colors, you could play a bit with light as well. And you could then have like these different areas because you have so much folding and a lot of work with that. So you could play with how light interacts with it, and you'd have and you could also play with a bit of opacity. So you could have like more translucent layers, like with how with like coral reefs and certain algae, they become a bit transparent at the edges, and you have the shape right. It's just like this could just put it, and this play with light could also help with like when you work with your video later on. It's just going to put it. It's gonna make it really cool. But I really enjoy it, and I love those little
Thank you
those.
so much.
They're so good.
Thank you so much. Yeah,
Yeah, we
thank you
had
so much.
Fatma in the underwater world a couple of years ago, so that's why she knows well.
Yeah.
Just to add, Alina, this is the same project I was talking about today. Yeah.
Oh.
She did that project, yeah.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, it was amazing. I was like, wow. Yeah, I have a lot of in my head right now. I need to think about it honestly. Yeah, it's amazing. It was amazing project. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And good job.
Thank you, Eva. Thank you so much.
Hi, Alina. I just want to say I agree with all the comments so far. I think they're really great comments and exciting directions to explore. One thing that stood out to me with your project, I think it's looking really amazing, but I especially like the way that you're showing your workflow and that you're describing your characters and the whole background story. So just in general, the presentation is very nice. And I am especially a fan of your sectional diagram that you had that really like ties the whole story together, and I think that's an amazing image. And then I like how you've pulled out certain areas and certain like programming of the corpuscle, and you've taken closer looks at them in like little vignettes. I think that's very successful. And I appreciate this sort of, at least for the vignettes and the diagrams. I do like the materials a lot personally. Um, they could maybe have a little bit more contrast, but I do think they get this like aquatic, almost jellyfish-like world conveyed very well. And yeah, I'm super excited to see all this progress. You've accomplished so much in like 1 month since I last saw you, and I think you should be very happy with your progress, and I'm very excited to see you continue with this.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kira. You helped me a lot as well. Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, great work, Alina. Super happy to see how this board is looking like visually and how you narrated your entire story. Took us in all the aspects of the connections. As I said, like I always like the sectional views that you have more than your interiors somehow, and they look just cute habitats inside, like those world inside those section cuts are so beautiful. And I agree, like the storytelling was so nice in the sections where you like had a zoom in and more zoom into the spaces inside. So overall, like I love the color theme, the color palette, and the presentation that you did. And of course, the plus point because underwater is a hard task to do, and you managed to pull that off. So that's a great one. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Eva. And I appreciate your time and help as well.
Yeah,
You,
most
you spent
welcome.
a lot of time with me. Thank you so
Most
much.
welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm just gonna finish it off and say, yeah, I don't much to add except for what everybody like else has said. I think like I said, like there's a bit of work to do in terms of the materials and the rendering, but like luckily you have a lot of chapters ahead of you where you can sort of really nail in your style. And yeah, the underwater stuff is always quite difficult because you have to play with the color of like the scenery is all blue and you have to like mix all that. It all becomes difficult. So I appreciate the amount of effort, and I know during the weeks we're working together. There's a bit of struggle at times to get stuff sort of working, but I think you've done a lot of progress, and it's on its way there, and I'm looking forward to seeing the further chapters. So yeah, good job. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Awesome. So I think we'll pass on to Group B with two.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Leah.
Leah.
Thank you.
Let's see. Yeah, Group B presentation
All
for
right.
today. Yeah.
See my screen? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Paul, and I am extremely passionate about the underwater world and all its mysteries. This story inspired me to create this other world, to the concept of being invaded, to a race of survival. So let's begin. I am Alpha, an Aquarian who witnessed our kingdom's fall on a vast oceanic planet, rich with algae-covered seabeds that nourished and unified us through a telekinetic bond. Alongside was my companion, Ryu, whose telekinetic energy from the ocean depths helped sustain my strength. Our harmony was shattered when an asteroid crashed into an uninhabited region, bringing in a hidden parasite that infected the algae in our lifeline. At first, the asteroid seemed insignificant, but soon, our graceful Aquarian showed signs of infection, faint discoloration, fractured telepathy, and eventually a grotesque physical transformation. The parasite infiltrated our telekinetic field, using it to spread through the waters. As the kingdom weakened, I gathered the uninfected to fight back. We focused on the algae's magnetic properties, creating a protective barrier that expelled the parasites. Though the infection left scars, unity and hope returned. With our telekinetic bond restored, we began the journey to rebuild Aquarius, knowing our connection to each other and our world would protect us from any future threats. Here in full display is Alpha, the full prosthesis from our last chapter. As you see, Alpha's face has a refined profile with high cheekbones and sharp features. Partially obscured by fin-like structures, her glowing eyes convey emotions and telepathic messages, while her slightly curved lips exude calmness and confidence. The process and the continued pursuit to house Alpha and design a Corpuscle. I explore primitive underwater creatures and how they use shelter to protect from external threats. The concept of an exoskeleton shell structure with the emphasis on repetitive patterns. With the aid of Midjourney and 3D modeling software and rendering tools, this concept was brought to life. The overall model. This symbiotic organism is called Karma. Its role is to house a powerful telepathic mermaid and its place to recharge their abilities. Here you see this bluish bioluminescent heart that powers Karma, stretching from its purplish veins in the partial bladder, which help regulate Karma's powers. Let me see. Where did it go? There we go. My bad. On the left, you see the mermaid sleeping pods, which reside in the primary pod. Center of the screen are two of Karma's symbiotic creatures that attach externally and contribute to the internals of Karma for functionality. On the left, in this view,
the pod bridge is seen here, which is the central branch where the future pods can be attached and detached. The living coral looks like a shell, but it's moderately soft to the touch, allowing the other symbiotic creatures to attach to the surface. As you see, meditation bubbles are in place to recharge and train their abilities with other mermaids. The function of this space is primarily public and social. In this view, you see Karma's other pod that housed all the mermaids and stored the future mermaid eggs. As you notice on the left side of the section, you will see a primitive heart structure. This structure is primarily the life force that controls Karma and powers the pods for recharging and healing. Furnishings. As these sea creatures are sentient, they enjoy congregating and lounging on these coral petals placed loosely around Karma. As the heart structure is the powerhouse of Karma, these pods play the same role for mermaids in giving them strength. The egg pods. Future mermaids lay close above the sleeping pods. Just like the light pods, these pods at first attach the Karma for nourishment, but also provide shelter for the mermaid eggs. Okay. Let's see. As mentioned, here are a set of mermaids interacting it, as one is leaving the meditation bubble and the other one is in the training session. As nightfall begins, the mermaids make their way back to the sleeping pods for their night's rest and recharge. The harmony and unity of Aquarius will be its reason why the parasitic invaders will not win as the story unfolds. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Paul. It's nice to
Short
see
and
like
sweet.
your version of the project coming along. I would say like you have some similar comments like from I think like the previous couple of teams about again materiality, light, working through some of the details like of the designs, but you know like these are some things that like again like you have plenty of time to improve on, and again like just under you know like a higher quality of like rendering and just you know like improving the overall materiality and interiors of the spaces, because like you have a very rich design. It has a lot of potential to be developed and to be very interesting the way that like it develops in the next chapters, but here like we're just lacking some of the components really like to make it stand out. But again, appreciate the effort, and you have plenty of time like to continue evolving. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just gonna jump in. I'll say, I think expanding on what Paulina said, I think like there's a huge amount of the modeling you've done, which is like good. And I think like if we look at like the final exterior render you have that you worked on, I assume during like the media lab, where we've like photoshopped and everything. I think it's about getting these like getting the more normal renders to be to the level of that like final photoshopped sort of render, right? Getting the lighting quality and texture quality right, so that you can get that like out straight out of the render engine as much as you can without having to sort of post process as much. But that's all obviously like a sort of, you know, it's a skill you work up to. And I think like with the interior, yeah, like this interior render I think is like getting there, and you need like a bit more of the environmental luminance that you sort of photoshopped in, I think, in the exterior one to make it feel like a bit more real and lived in, you know. But I think like you're on track to get there for the next chapters. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what you come up with. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, Oscar. Thank you.
Hey, Paul. Nice
Thank you.
progress since I last spoke to
Thank you.
you.
Yeah.
A few things that stood out to me. I do like your color palette. I think you have like a nice balance with the like warmer, or I guess they're still cool lavender like purples, but then also these like blues and kind of greens with some orange
Yeah.
accents I think are nice. And I think that they can call attention to some of these like finer details that you have. Like I see some of the smaller parts are like orange, so they pop, and I do like that design decision. I also think your section is turning out pretty interesting. Yeah, the one on the left, that one. I think the poche is like pretty cool because it's not just like a simple shell, you know, like you clearly put some effort into creating these textures on your base form, and they resulted in this like really interesting poche, which I appreciate. I do think that the poche gets lost somewhat in some of the other components of your model. So if you have the opportunity to like go back and maybe push those, like for example, this detail section that's below it, everything is kind of like paper thin, and it's just like, you know, bringing it to the same level as some of these other renderings and these other areas that you've worked on is important. Yeah, I think those were kind of my main comments. I agree with the comments from the other instructors, and yeah, I think this is a lot of progress since I last saw you, so good job. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Kira. Awesome, thank you.
Thank you, Paul. I think some of the feedback should be, yeah, we can definitely take into account for the next chapter. I think you went it with a very like a lot of energy, a lot of effort, and it shows with the modeling and the interiors. But I think in the end, we didn't just have the time and to really finish everything as you wanted to be like up there. So I think that we can work on that for the next presentation. But overall, yeah, thank you for the presentation and for the project. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you for your patience recently this past week. Thank you again, guys. And again, all the best. Cheers. I think I'm the last one. I think that's it.
Yeah. You
Beautiful.
So yeah, thank you everyone for joining us.
Thank you, everyone. It was a wonderful day. Thank you for the presentations, the awesome work. We really appreciate it. And we had a lot of different comments, different points of view. There is a lot to learn and to grow like in the next chapters. So hopefully you got some really cool ideas like moving forward because this is always very helpful to see a different perspective. Yeah, thank you for our guests and sharing their time and sharing all their ideas with the students. We'll see you all soon. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
guys. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.